Well, welcome to Miracles Online podcast. I'm Jeff, and
I'm Kat.
we're here to talk about number one, Kat's beautiful book, Miracles Online. And let's start with this. This is a relationship-based podcast. We've been married for a long time, and you're going to hear our stories. So why don't we just go ahead and start, and let's talk a little bit about how this book came about. So, Kat, tell us about when did you start this book?
Well, Jeff, as you know, about 26 years ago. We're going on our 27th year of marriage. He's my Miracle Online. I'm his. And the book was started 27 years ago, was put on hold, started up 10 years, 15 years, life took priority. And approaching our 25th wedding anniversary, I actually had another book in the works, and then a light bulb went on, and I said, wait a minute, this one needs to take priority because it's momentum and momentous at 25 years. So put it on speed run, finished the book. Actually, thanks to digital technology, we clicked the go live button with Amazon November 18th on our 25th wedding anniversary. So that was kind of special.
Very special. And
Yeah.
we were not even at home. We were in Greece.
In Greece, in I think Santorini or
we were.
Athens.
Yep, we were in
Santorini,
overlooking the sunsets over the islands, and it was just perfect. It was magical.
It really was.
Just like our relationship.
It really was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. And so, yeah, I was initially, I started the book actually, I believe before I actually met Jeff on a concept, and then was really propelled to, when I found my miracle, to continue the book, because, I was a single mom of 3 children. I was what some might say over the prime. I don't think you're ever over the prime, but I was 45 years young at the time with 3 children, single mom. And running out of places, between speed dating and going to bars and having setups, et cetera, it was running out of places and hope to meet a quality individual that could, we could share our lives together. When I received an email from, it was Match.com or Matchmaker.com?
It was Match.com.
Match.com. A 2-week trial. And I thought, this is interesting. Filled out a profile, et cetera, and was just amazed at the amount of people who are out there looking for love, and not in a bar and not in a hookup, et cetera. So when Jeff and I met, I was actually researching going on as many coffee dates as possible. Now you have to think back 25 plus years ago, there was no digital, there was no FaceTime. It was telephone, text. I don't think there was any visual.
There was email. There wasn't text.
Email. There wasn't text. That's right. Yeah. There was only BlackBerry phones
no, but I don't even think we had Blackberries in our hands yet.
No.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of money with.
There was chat groups. That I knew that there were chat groups for interesting, topics that people got along and that they've met in those type of environments. But online dating was new,
brand new,
and it was one of those things that when your friends and family goes finds out that you're online dating or you're looking for love online, they kind of give you that. Are you really that desperate?
Which we know today, that's far from, technology has just opened up. And back then, so we were on the cutting edge to go, I came from a sales background, top Fortune 100 companies. And I know of anything, repetition is the master of all skill. Sales is a numbers game. Life is a numbers game. You've got to get up and keep doing the same thing with proper intention if you want a result. And so that's where I was the analytical part of my analytical / creative persona, was very fascinated that I could, narrow down and be very efficient. I didn't have to go on 5 dates to figure out some of the basics that were essential in the getting to know you aspect. Now, yes, of course, there's going to be people who aren't honest and so forth. And I'm going to take you through, as we go through the chapters and in future segments, how to navigate in today's world, which even though technology has just catapulted forward, as Jeff and I were talking pre-show, the basics, the fundamental basics are so key and crucial, and they are relevant today. And I know that through dealings of young folks, older folks that I'm in contact with, stories that in future segments we'll be sharing with you, some funny, some heartwarming, some both. I'm real proud about one particular chapter, which we're going to go through all the chapters that are in the book. This is a quick read book. It's less than 100 pages, but we've coined it, and I've had others, through testimony say it's a GPS to online dating. And I don't care, if you're 20 or 90. There's something in it for you to help you eloquently navigate to your miracle online, because it is very specific to who you are. And I'm going to help you. We're going to give you some points on how to attract your perfect match, not be what somebody else wants you to be, because you're your creator, you're your own clay, and you're the artist. So, yeah.
Well, with being online, you have a lot of opportunities and choices now. So with this book, what were you looking to achieve by writing this book?
Well, Jeff, I actually had, when I was discussing, even actually with a doctor, a female doctor that I was visiting, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I need that book. I need you to help me to navigate through that." And I had more than one person express to me that they would like assistance in navigating that whole platform, because if you've done it and maybe you're on a hiatus and you're taking a break from it because you haven't had success, or you've never done it, like many of us who are over a particular age, who that's totally foreign and maybe a bit scary. It's a great opportunity. You just have to be intentional and know how to navigate it so that you can attract both digitally and vibrationally the person that's going to be a perfect match for you. And I think that's the key. Jeff and I have talked about that. The energetic field that you put out there, and I've talked to from my hairdresser to other beauty experts who are quite a bit younger than I am, who have just taken this and they're just doing everything, changing their profile, changing their picture, not being the generic, like what every other girl, is out there posting, and having great success, seeing that they're getting responses from men who are more in line with truly what they're looking for, not just what that you think, well, that's what I see out there, I should do what every other person is putting out there. And you'll get the same result. And if that's a negative result, what do they say? If you keep doing the same thing over and over again and don't get results, that's called insanity. Do something different. So there's a lot of nuggets in this book, and that was my intention, Jeff, is to arm folks, women and men, to be able to attract the love of their life. Now, there is a platform for just interests, or companions, or even hookups. You've got very specialized groups dating apps, if you're very specific on your, what I call your must-haves, and they must be this or they must be that, and you want to go onto that specific app. Some of those, can also meld with the information in this book. But this book is not meant to be, how to get a hookup.
You mean no Netflix and chill
No.
tricks?
Chill flicks.
Netflix and chill tricks.
Oh, and chill tricks. Oh, I haven't heard that one, Jeff.
No, and that's something that I really wanted everybody to kind of understand too, is that if you're looking for true love, if you're looking for someone to complete you, and I know a lot of the thought process comes from, well, I'm self-sufficient. I don't need someone to complete me. I don't need somebody to fulfill my life. Well, that's true. You don't if you're wanting to be alone for the rest of your life. One of the things that I definitely came to a conclusion when Kat and I met before this thing started, she was doing her research and I was doing not research for writing, but I was doing similar things. So the key factor was that I was looking for love. And I knew
you were putting the energetic field out there.
There was no question.
Talk about the trip to the beach.
Well, before I get to that, I just wanted to get the audience to understand my mindset. I've been working in a entertainment business for over 2 decades up to that point, and I realized that I'm burning my life working to make money to be successful, and I come home to empty nothing except for cats. Now, it's not saying that my cats wasn't great.
Not this cat. Oh, kitty cats.
Kitty cats. So I started to do a lot of research within myself, my inner self, to complete myself. And I realized that the message I kept on getting from the higher source was that you need to find your other balance self, your feminine, your yin to your yang. Balance. All of these things that I've read about that would start to really get to me into my heart. And it was almost as if it was a message from God to come down and say, okay, this all about you thing needs to kind of take a back seat. You need to look at what is the big picture. I want a great life. Okay, what does great life mean? So I started dissecting into that. And ultimately I came to the conclusion, I'm looking for my significant other. I'm looking for the true love of my life. So by that determination, it helped tremendously. It really did for how I went and approached to look for true love. So now when I looked at online dating, and I got the same advertisement, I'm sure she did through internet at that time, which is Match.com has free promotion. You can sign up for free. And you can browse all the so-called the people that has put up their profiles for looking for love. And well, that sounds great, because prior to that, I was so busy. The only way I was dating was calling personal ads, in which was the primitive version of online dating.
Yep. And I did that once too.
And, I've dated like these type of, I would call like blind dates, wouldn't it? Because you really don't know these people. Yeah. And you may have a conversation, but that conversation is always pretty much, okay, you sound civil enough that you're not a crazy person. So let's go on a date. Let's go have coffee, or let me take you, get a bite to eat. And off we went. But they rarely get past like maybe the second or third date, because I come to realize that their intention wasn't the same as mine. They weren't looking for true love. They were maybe dating, or they may just want to go out with other people that they normally don't know. But whatever their goal was not matching mine. So one of the key factors why Kat and I end up together is that she wrote this incredible bio for her profile. This profile was so moving, and it was so articulate and so heartfelt that I had to respond to her, despite of I wasn't even thinking that, hey, she's a little older than me, so could this work? None of that actually went into my thought. I just wanted her to know that she was such a beautiful person, such a beautiful spirit. And I wish her best of luck, because to pour that kind of love into your profile and that kind of honesty to look for your significant other was incredible. I never read anything like it. So with that made a big, big difference in how we found each other. Now, Can you get that kind of love come to you? Absolutely. This is why I think she wrote the book. And let's go into, let's say, diving into the chapters. I just want to
Okay.
ask you a few things about how you came about doing these chapters and how they describe this book for the listeners out there. And let's just start with, you started with this virtual beginning, then and now. Okay. So we're basically talking about what? Dating online compared to what it is then, which was a stigma of, oh, you must be hard up for a relationship, or man, we have to tie a pork chop around your neck so even the dog would play with you because you're so ugly you can't get a date. Right. So the key thing, though, it really wasn't that. It was about efficiency and time. If
Yes.
I was working 3 jobs and playing in a band all at the same time.
Yep.
So
I was running a house, raising 3 kids, and had an account executive position for a major corporation. So yeah, that's what really, as I kind of touched on earlier, that's what really got my interest, was the efficiency. I can weed out, and not to spill the beans on when we get into profile, but the things that were absolutely had to be or would be nice, I could filter through those things without having to go on, 5 or 6 dates, right? Takes a lot of time to go, oh, we turn that card over. Nope, that's a deal breaker. Let's fold the cards, fold the deck. Yep.
This could be extremely expensive for guys because we go on 2-3 dates and then we realize, oh, this is a nothing burger. We're not getting anything out of this.
Burger. Well, that's why you go on coffee. So I started to say, I was researching when you and I met. That previous week, I had been on 9. I was diligent on 9 coffee dates. Okay. And
it helps when you're pretty, isn't it?
9. These are the qualifying, so I learned quickly, pretty quickly. Don't spend a whole lot of time texting, messaging. And, I've got gals that I talked to today that that's all they're doing. It's like, I don't know, unless you're just totally lonely, if you're really, serious about developing a relationship, don't spend all that time with them and you hiding behind the digital door.
That's right.
Because they can, if they're a good writer and or a good orator, they can make you think things that are nowhere the truth. So, first off, I suggest, and this is in the book, pick up the phone. You can tell a lot by the, speaking energy.
Oh, sure.
Okay. It takes that energy to the next level. But the next step is, okay, as long as they're not, I'm not going to say stuttering because, that may not be a deal breaker, but as long as they just don't sound creepy or say something creepy on the phone, make a coffee date, because you can check all the boxes. Okay. But life isn't about, and energy isn't about just checking all the boxes. That's the first start. And that's a time saver. Absolutely. But get past that anonymity, meet them for coffee. And as long as the right boxes are checked, digitally, then you're going to have a sense they may all be checked, but there's that it factor.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
And that it factor is what they've called for eons chemistry.
Yeah.
And if that's not there.
Yeah. And there's definitely the so-called the attractive magnetism, right? Because like you were saying, how does the voice sound? I definitely wanted to hear your voice. I wanted to see, if this is something I find is soothing, sexy, is a turn on. Because, I don't want somebody who was going to be, oh, how are you doing, darling? While I'm not. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I actually dated a girl a couple of weeks that was doing a voiceover training, and she sounded like, little squeaky mouse.
Well,
almost
for
all the
voiceovers,
time.
you have to have that.
Yeah, but
range.
she kind of carried it around all the time.
Oh.
And it wasn't
Well,
genuine.
like the nanny type
No,
voice.
it was just cartoony.
Like a mouse.
Yeah. So, I mean, things like that, you kind of go, do I want to live with that the rest of my life? That's the beauty
and
about,
we're not making fun of people who have
that's not
different
about that. Yeah.
voices because, there's ways if you have a high voice to lower your voice, to
That's right.
slow down your voice if you're talking too fast,
Yep.
if you're too loud and abrasive. There's things like that. So everybody's blessed in a unique God particle. So
Yep.
by no means are we making fun. But, I had a girl, to give you an example of how we're all different. I had a girlfriend back in New York where her and I were in contact. We worked in corporate America together, and I was researching the book at the time. Her and I, were really connected, and she loved bald men. They were like a sexy turn on to her. And that was like the opposite for me. Of course, I ended up with a guy with beautiful, his hair was much longer than it is now, beautiful long hair. And I love hair, long hair. Really, in my adult years, never had a boyfriend with long hair, but I found it very attractive. So it was an attractive factor for me. So, just because he doesn't like mouse type voice, there might be another man that goes, oh, that's just so sexy and feminine. It reminds me of Coco Gibio or Coco Gibio. I'm dating myself, from Ed Sullivan. So everybody, whatever they say, for every rip there's a tear, for every pot there's a lid. Everybody is turned on or turned off by different things. That's what makes it so exciting, that we're all so unique, one of a kind God particle. And energetically, when we put our true authentic self out there, I do believe we're vibrating on the same level, that we're going to attract that same level of energetic field.
That's right.
Yep.
And today's online dating has blown up to so many different subcategories. You can date by your religion.
Yep.
You can date by your sexual preference. You can date by your favorite music genre.
Yep.
So it's now widely accepted. And because it's widely accepted, you're going to get a lot more frogs out there to kiss before you find your prince. So how smart are you on building your path to find the prince? This is where the book came out. And I am so proud that Kat wrote this book, because it really does culminate the truth behind the search, the techniques and the thought behind it. And then ultimately, when we got together, how it played out to be a fruitful event, because ultimately this book is proven. It's proven with 26 years now plus of marriage relationship that came from the inception of online dating. And
with the proper intention, with the proper profile. And that intention, energy, and profile, it bears saying it again, it's timeless. It really is timeless. The technology, those are just the, how to navigate the technology. And I've got a lot of information in the book on that too, to keep you safe, to keep your time, which is most precious. So you don't waste a lot of your time. A lot of information is found in the book on that. But we're very proud of the book. I'm very proud of the book. I'm very proud of us. And we're, looking to share with others who are interested on the relationship side as we go forward in future episodes, etc. So with that,
and I want to take time out and just let everyone know that I want to thank Josh Reed of Red Pill Project, who kind of inspired us to put this together. Josh knew that I had publishing a house here with my wife, and he knew the main focus was initially just to push this wonderful book out to the world. But as this came out, we started to develop our publishing company, and it just kind of grew and grew. And ultimately, when Josh says, hey, you need to support this and tell the world about this great story, and we kind of thought about it and says, well, we could talk about the book, but then what? And Josh says, no, relationship. I've never met anybody who's in that level of, we met online, talked to each other the next following weekend, on a Sunday evening on telephone. And she was expecting me from looking at my picture going, oh, hello, how are you?
That's why I talked to him right away.
Yeah.
A beautiful picture. It was actually a headshot from his Hollywood days when he'd done extra work, etc. Good looking buff, but he looks very Asian. So I have no idea. We've only emailed, not even text. We've only emailed. So
yeah, it was interesting. But the great thing was that first conversation went on for almost 7 hours. Yeah. And then we proceed to do this for the next 6 days. So every day around, I would say probably around 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Sometimes later, because I was enrolled in at Southern California School of Massage at the time. So I was studying to get my massage therapist degree. So sometimes I'd get home at 10 o'clock at night and we'd talk till 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
He had to go.
I had to be in the office by 9.
I think I was working virtual.
You were virtual, yeah.
Yeah, with the
So
company.
she could sleep in, but I have to show up and start drinking 2 pots of coffee a day to stay up.
So sorry.
Right. But, it was such an exciting time because to have somebody engaging like that. And I'll take a little sidebar and just to let everyone know here. When I was dating prior to KAT, and I purposely made a thinking process and a thought process of going into meeting someone that I'm going to lay it in. I'm going to lay it on a little bit thicker. I'm not going to play any kind of game. I'm going to let them know that I'm interested in a great relationship. And are you the one? And I let everybody have their response to it. And what I found at that point was that we had some very attractive ladies that went on dates with me, but all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is too much, or this, I'm not sure. And, so I didn't want to waste any more time. I was already 33 at that time. I was coming out of my 20-year, music thing. And I was just ready to grow and fruit to my new life. And I knew this. But to have that partner, you have to have someone who's equally enthusiastic, equally with intention and passion, ready to step into that. And most people out there dating are not, because number one, they probably never even thought about it. And that's the key factor. I really do believe. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for Miracles Online? Because if you are, then the universe is going to grant you that miracle. Am I right?
I was going to close with this. It's in the book, but I truly believe it. Love wants you as much as you want love. But if you're not sure what you want, then that's what the universe is going to get you. Not really sure.
Yep.
Right? Got to have that intention.
In 2025, our world is moving so quickly. There's such an energy level that is raised around all of us. I think our consciousness has changed into much more clear and concise of intentions, more to the heart, and also more to our spirit self, our soul. And what better way to live life than to be with someone who is perfectly fit to be with you. So you can
yin
grow.
And the yang, baby.
Yeah, you grow together. The synergy that we have together, once we established ourselves to each other, and it was like fitting the hardest puzzle that you could ever fathom, but in the easiest way, putting it together. And that is the miracle itself. I just couldn't believe how well it came to. Now, of course, as the podcasts go further down the road, I will tell you there's stories of our hardships too.
Of course.
But hardships are just like anything else. It's just an issue or a problem or fork in the road that you just have to come up with the right answer and execute and take action.
What you go through, you grow through. And
yes,
the key is you got to keep going through it. We're in a throwaway society, which unfortunately, the 50 percentile of divorces after so many years is because we have that, well, doesn't work out, I'll just leave, And so you got to go through it. If you want to get through it, you got to go through it, and you will grow through it. Absolutely. Because we have, haven't we?
No question. It's like anything in life. Mm-hmm. You will have the good with the bad. But when you have the good with the bad and you understand how to find solutions, find answers to your problems, find the directions and the path to take on that fork in the road, what you will find is it enriches. It becomes even greater than you could ever expect.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing in this world that can compare to this marriage and this relationship that we've had. I can't even begin to go deep enough on this podcast to tell you that the reward that you will find in a great relationship is the most fulfilling self, because it's us becoming one. So with that, I want to let you know that Miracles Online, come to yaayupublishing.com, which is YAAYU publishing.com. And you will find there's a bookstore there. You can go and order our books. Also, if you want to just download our free chapters, you can do that. And you can take a look at all the books that we have in YAAYU Publishing, including Miracles Online. So with that being the last thing that I had to say today on this inaugural podcast for Miracles Online, Kat, please close us out.
Well, I love that closing. That's where I was leading to. And what you had said in your kind and sweet words, it comes down to, I tell folks in my design and staging business that, design is just a series of choices, and I can help you make better choices. And, isn't life like that? It's a series of choices. We only have now. In fact, now is gone. Now we have now. That's how fleeting now is. So I encourage you to take your next best step, we believe, and that is spend $9.95. Get this book. You'll be glad you did. And tune in on our next podcast. We're going to dive deep into each chapter. We're going to answer the top, according to statistics, the top 10 questions that folks who are dating online or who are thinking of dating online are asking. And we encourage stories. Did we give an email or any place where people could DM us?
They can just do that at YAAYU Publishing.
At YAAYU Publishing? Okay.
YAAYU
if
Publishing.
You've got a story, we'd love to hear your story and or a question. So with that, thanks so much for listening, and we wish you love.
Yeah. And thank you for tuning in on Miracles Online podcast. And we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome back to Miracles Online podcast. I'm Jeff and
I'm Kat.
And thank you for joining us. We are here to talk about relationships, dating online, and all that good stuff. And of course, we're here to promote this book, Miracles Online, which was written by my lovely wife, Kat. So if you will, please tell us a little bit about this for folks who's just joining us for the first time.
Okay, well, in a nutshell, this is a GPS to online dating, whether you've done it before or never done it, whether you're 20 or you're 85, there's something in it for you. I like to think of it as a GPS for online dating. It's going to help you to circumvent any landmines, what to do when you get ghosted, how to stay safe, how to attract your perfect mate and your perfect miracle online. And the most important to me chapter is how to build an amazing profile, which we're going to dive deep today in. Jeff's going to talk a little bit about his, about mine, etc., and the homework that you need to do really before you just go up there and post a profile. It's just so important, kind of like the prepping before painting. It's that prep work and the sanding and getting it all smooth and getting it all ready so it applies and it stays. So yeah, it's a GPS for online dating. I can't put it any clearer than that. And we're just going to go ahead and dive deep into writing the perfect profile.
The art of profile crafting, or crafting the perfect profile.
Crafting
right?
the perfect profile.
And I can't say enough regards to how this actually is the key to the door of online dating. Mostly when I first started looking at online profiles, I come to recognize after about 6 to 10 of these, almost everybody had the similar profile set up and the things you're interested in. For instance, I like long walks on the beach. I like to look at sunsets. I like to sit by the fireplace and drink wine.
So the key is don't be generic.
Well, the fact remains is really, I mean, how enjoyable is it? Okay, so we go walk on the beach. You seem nice. I seem nice. Have a little kiss. Next you know, we get involved. Hey, there's nothing I'm really interested in about 2 months later. Why? Well, because I pretty much now understand who you are and we've already been intimate and I don't see a future in it. Why? Because I didn't know who you really were in the beginning.
Because they didn't know who they were. And that's really what it comes down to. You really need to know yourself and, be quiet with yourself. I literally, and again, we've been married going on 27 years now. So we were pioneers in the online dating.
That's right.
We didn't have all the technology of today, but the fundamentals, and this being the core of the fundamental, stands true today as it did 25 years ago. So I sat down and pen and paper, nothing digital, nothing fancy, no cell phone notes, etc. And I wrote what I absolutely had to have in a relationship. I call them the non-negotiables. That's if I meet someone online and this is not part of who they are, then it's fold the deck. We're going home.
Yep.
Then there's the negotiables, or would be nice. Okay. And those things are going to be different for everybody. My negotiables may be your non-negotiables and vice versa. Because again, we're unique human beings and we have different desires and different values. But to attract that love, that miracle online, you really need to have that foundation of values compatible, energetically, and checking off the boxes as well as energetically.
Yeah, I agree that wholeheartedly. It's especially that in the book that you really brought up a point of the negative and the bitter profile. I'm so tired of being hurt. Don't hurt me. If I'm looking for love, I'm not looking for a wounded individual that is hoping that I'm not the next bad person.
That is such a good point. And Jeff knows it's kind of one of my pet peeves. There's a song, and I think it's played on our intro, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. Thoughts are so powerful. And if we lead with negativity out there in a profile, starting really with our thoughts, that energy is going to be attracted to us. So Dr. Joe Dispenza, if you're familiar with him, he talks about the importance of our thoughts. If you think of our thoughts as an antenna, okay, and you think of our heart or emotions as the magnet, okay, so if we're thinking negative things, and it doesn't, the mind doesn't hear, I don't want this, it just hears the negativity. That is going to then draw that to you. So really be careful. Anything that's in a negative, turn it around to the positive. Well, here's what I would really love. And imagine that and see that, not what you don't want, because you'll get more of it.
That's correct.
Right.
So that was a big red flag when you see things of things negative driven. So keep in mind that when you're looking for a positive, you're looking for an open heart, you're looking for an opportunity to create something great. These are things that you want to put your intentions to. And when I witnessed her profile was not written in so-called little blocky sentences, I love riding, go strolling on the beach and looking at sunsets where, and see dolphins play at the water. Okay. she became very descriptive of the heart being opened and the greatness of love. And she had this thing where she has a rock that she has purchased and was going to give this rock to the person. And the rock is engraved, "I'm yours."
I'm yours. And it's under my bed.
Yeah, it's under her bed until the right person come along. And I'm thinking on the other end going, wow, this is incredible. And of course, that's just one little snippet out of that beautiful profile she wrote. But just to even have that kind of a opportunity that she's willing to take this symbolism of heart
Metaphor.
and then, and give it to someone. It was incredible. You know, of course, in my mind, I'm thinking it was a boulder like this.
Oh, you stole my thunder. I was going to tell that. No, I'm glad you did, because that was so funny. It was much later that I realized, and he shared with me that he thought it was a big boulder.
Well, it's under her bed. That's one of the things that.
Oh, bed's not that high. Come on, how big? But
as a bachelor, I didn't have a bed.
You slept on the mattress on the floor, huh? But that tells you too and that's how big the metaphor for "I'm yours" was.
Yeah. It really was that, because the way it was put in that profile, it gave you the impression that this was bigger than life. This was something that this was her biggest decision, that she was going to open her heart and allow this love to come in.
Yes.
Right. To the right person. Yes. I'm thinking, wow, I've been dating online for a long time, and finding a right person is like pulling hair. And that was incredible, because reading her profile, I was so compelled to respond to her. It wasn't just a physical attraction looking at her picture. She had black and white pictures professionally done, but it was black and white. And I thought that was different. Right? It was looking like it was looking.
Got to be different.
Well, it was. I was literally thinking to myself, this looks like a classic Hollywood so-called headshots.
It was a headshot.
Right. But it gave me the impression of that, opposed to everybody who's, selfieing and so forth. Back then, of course, selfieing wasn't available yet. But everybody was posting a lot of pictures, and especially pictures
sexualized.
Well, no, not necessarily that, but it was deceiving. Right. It would be. I remember one person told me that she decided she was going to meet up with this guy who was really cute online. And when she finally met him at beach and he walked up, she couldn't believe he had no teeth.
Oh,
right. So it was things like that. It was just mind blowing that, okay, it was catfishing, I guess is what the term is.
Oh, is that what they use now today?
Yeah.
And we'll help you get around those. Will that happen? Sometimes it can, but again, dating can be a numbers game. If you're serious, you have the right intention, you set up the right profile. Yeah. So the profile that you talked about, and we're not suggesting you write, take the book and write. Well, actually, my profile isn't in the book, but write the profile about the book. But what Jeff's describing is an engaging and authentic profile, to you. So maybe that might be, you like witty and humorous puns. Okay, maybe that's part of your personality. Put it in your profile.
Yes.
Because someone's going to snap to that and like that, because that's who you are. So be you, because everybody else is taken, as they say. Be you. Whether that's, witty and humorous, or authentic, or maybe it's analytical. I would suggest you don't do too much analytical, because but be clear on your intentions, have an awareness of yourself, and know your deal breakers. You can weave those in to your profile if it's fitting. Okay. Because, again, if you want someone spiritual, if you want someone, who's loves God, or who's Christian, or who absolutely needs to love horses, whatever it is, try to integrate that into your profile, because, like is going to attract like. So, Jeff obviously resonated with the metaphoric, heartfelt, someone willing to, as he'd said, he'd done some short dating where I don't know how quickly he tried to advance the relationship, but if it was too quick, maybe they were just afraid of that. But if it was natural progression and they went, wait, well, he's obviously looking for someone who doesn't have that guard up, who says, I'm open to life. I'm open to love.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited.
Show me yours. I'll show you mine.
Well, I mean, it wasn't necessary. No,
that wasn't it. No,
I would say that I did purposely become very aggressive and upfront in regards to wanting the relationship. And so when I was dating, it wasn't like, oh, let's just go have fun. It wasn't about Netflix and chill or having somebody so I can have a booty call. Those were not my agendas. My agenda is, are you willing to do something fantastic and great in a relationship? So one of the key factors was that how motivated were they? That was really
what are their intentions, and that's what you have to be clear on, which is also in the book. Clarify your intentions,
right?
Because then you can move on, and it's okay,
right?
If she's just like, well, gee, I just want to have fun. All girls want to have fun. I just want a booty call and have fun. Okay, so we're not. But that's we're not a good fit. Yeah, no, then we're just not a good fit.
That's right. And the thing that I've noticed about profiles is everybody that I was kind of collecting and adding to, maybe we should contact this person, that person, is they use the word, I'm looking for true love, or I'm looking for a real relationship. And yet, okay, let's rock. Are you ready for it? Oh, you're pretty intense, right? That can be very off-putting. I know that. I purposefully,
especially if they're not ready. Timing is everything.
Well, then don't sit there and advertise yourself like you're ready if you're not. That's the thing about the profiling. Don't sit there and say, I'm ready for a great relationship. And someone shows up at your door and going, hey, I'm your great relationship. And you go, oh, I don't know you. And you immediately put a kibosh, shut the door, and thinking, that's freaking me out. That's a wrong thinking.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I wasn't there, so I don't know. But maybe it was, was it the first date or the second date or something?
Well, it's
that would be kind of scary.
Yeah. But I had the same phone call, talking, maybe not for 6 hours, the fact remains that we had communication. I expressed myself. Hey, I came out of an entertainment business thing. I am ready for relationship, marriage, possibly family, meaning, having kids and so forth. And I would say all that out. And it just seems like, oh, okay, everybody's receptive until you are then applying, hey, let's start looking at this, and that's being the next step into something. And this is where everybody has to understand the profile. If you're going in there saying, I want the world's greatest relationship and I want to be in love, that's really it. I want to be in love. That world's greatest relationship almost takes second fiddle or doesn't exist, because I want to be in love seems to be encapsulate and just blankets everything. If I can find somebody and be in love, I'm okay. Well, that's kind of tricky, because I've been in love many times and failed miserably almost every time. Because why? Because falling in love, it just isn't it. It's very easy to be infatuated. It's very easy to fall in love. So you can read somebody's profile and they're baiting you to fall in love. You fall in love and you realize this isn't quality of a relationship that I wanted. Well, what does that mean? Is that person giving me anything back when I give it to you? Or am I constantly being the subservient? Or am I constantly looking, saying, hey, we're not seeing eye to eye about anything? Then where was the discovery of this profile? Did the profile actually say anything about it? And this is where...
Well, the profile's just a start.
But the profile made a huge part, though.
Yeah.
You made it enough for me to contact you.
Yeah.
Because outside of that, I was not in her search data, because we were very far apart on the age thing at that time. And on top of that, it wasn't coming to me. I guess I was searching just out of my area, and she was out of really my area too.
Yeah.
The great thing about it is that because you do your searches and so forth, they do the algorithm to pull up the profiles for recommendations. And I kept on seeing her picture coming up. So eventually, of course, after you do your search and so forth, you're going to go, okay, well, might as well read, her profile, because it keeps on showing up.
Well, that could be a God thing.
That's
Just saying.
exactly what it was, because it was so beautifully and eloquently written that, talking about being a single mom, talking about raising kids, and how she put her life on hold for love until now, that she is ready. And she really drove home about being ready. And that part really stuck to me. She's ready. Oh, I'm ready. Let's see. Let's see how ready you are. And that's where we sat on
I
the
guess
phone.
I was ready, huh?
Yeah. That's why, talking on the phone for a solid week, 6 hours a day,
We
7 hours a
grilled
day.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah. We had to, because realistically what do you mean by ready? How ready are you? Can you make a decision on being ready?
And just so you know that I do take my own advice. When I met him, I was taking local coffee dates. I mentioned on the previous post over 9 in research for the book, but we were almost an hour away from each other. So we were not geographically, convenient to go have coffee, but we were quite engaging, on the phone, and took every minute we could to talk with each other when we weren't working or I wasn't going to school.
Right. And then the following week after that, we talked still pretty steadily, just wasn't the lengthy 6-7 hours to make a date that following Friday. And we stayed at coffee day. I came over, we went to dinner. I got a hotel room, so I didn't have to drive back 2 a.m. or anything like that. And that turned into staying over and then celebrating her youngest's birthday. He was turning 16. So I stayed another day. And it was just clicking. It was clicking because I think that, number one, our intentions were true. We made our profile very honest about relationship. Then when we talked to each other, once we got past the just looking at the profile and you actually hear each other's voice, intentions, ask questions, I realized that this person was incredible that I was talking to, because the kind of questions I was asking her was not easy questions. It was life-changing type of questions, such as, how did you fare, when you had this diversity when you were a kid? I grew up in a really intense shift. I came from a different country around 9.5 to 10. I had to shift into an America mindset. So that changes me. She went through a lot of stuff that shift and changes her. And she was sharing with these things with me on the level that trust was being built, and I recognized it. And I wasn't going to let that go. That was an honor for me to have trust, being earned at that moment. So that made it very, very unique on how we were just getting along before even meeting in person.
And I have to say, also from, I think probably the first 45 minutes that we talked on the phone, when you're doing that getting to know you, you can tell a lot by what someone reads. And we had read the same books, listened to this. They didn't have podcasts then, listened to the same AM talk radio. And that told me, here's a person who, because quite honestly, yes, he wasn't looking for someone who was older. I wasn't looking for someone who was younger. I always dated guys who were my age or maybe a few years older. So, it's a lesson to say, put yourself out there the best way you can in your profile. Be authentic, but let the universe, God, whatever you believe in, come up with the details, because there's infinite possibilities out there in the quantum field of everything, and you don't want to limit yourself. Okay, they have to be this age and this ethnicity. I wasn't looking for someone who was Chinese, who was younger than me, who lived an hour away, all those things. Okay, but we opened up our heart. We both opened up ourselves, and the universe blessed us in that collision of our energies. I truly believe that. So don't limit yourself, because there's infinite possibilities out there. Just stick with your negotiables and non-negotiables, because that's the core of who you are. You don't want to compromise, though. I don't care how cute she is, how cute he is. If it's not or is on the negotiable or non-negotiable side of things, you need to fold the deck. Fold the deck immediately.
And keep in mind, you want to be unique. because you are you uniquely. So why would you ever build a profile that looks like 100 other people that's in the same boat with you looking for love?
Absolutely. And I'll share a story. I'm not going to use her name, but a lady that I know, young lady, who took the book and immediately refreshed her pictures and her profile. Because, sure enough, she was guilty of wanting to look like everyone else out there, the Instagram, the sexualized, bootylicious, whatever photos to attract more guys. Okay.
Right.
So she cleaned up her profile and both picture and in the description, and had a 180 on the type of guys who are now responding to her. So, my dad, may he rest in peace. I remember when I was single back in the day, and he'd say, well, you should like join a club, back then, join a tennis club or do this or do that. He says, if you, when you throw your fish out, if you put it in the toilet, you're going to get a turd. So you got to be careful where you put your fishing hook.
That's right. That's absolutely correct.
And today's that metaphor would be your hook is what you're putting out in a profile picture, what you're saying about yourself that you're looking for. Those are all really, really important and will attract the person that you're meant to be with.
Yeah, no question. The online dating and being online and using the technology of the internet has enhanced our life tremendously. Prior to having this technology in our lives, to meet people was going to social environments with like friends, or you find people at work,
speed dating.
Church.
You ever do that?
No,
That's a corporate thing. Yeah. So everybody sits down and you have 5 minutes. They put the timer on and you ask them speed questions. Then you go to the next table.
That to me is a waste of time.
It's very
and
shallow.
Money.
Yeah.
Right. Because, are you seriously going to meet someone in 5 minutes that you're going to go,
No,
oh, that's it?
what
are the odds of that? It's no different than I'm going to go to a bar. I'm going to go drink alcohol until my inhibition goes down and my judgment gets clouded.
Then they're done.
Then I'm going to find the love of my life with that. That doesn't make sense.
No,
it doesn't make sense
regret
whatsoever.
It. We all have the next morning.
Well, I didn't regret it. I just didn't have true love from it. The thing, it always comes down to how do you prepare yourself for the greatest moments in the greatest part of your life? And if you're not,
and that's so key. I think many people, Jeff, just think, they don't really realize the magnitude of choosing the right person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, God willing.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
Such a significant decision.
Right.
So why would you not, take as much care as you do in maintaining your car?
Right.
Or
well, some people don't even do that. So.
Yeah, but some people are very fastidious about it.
That's right.
Their car looks really great, but they do squat in trying to be the best of themselves. Yes. So what does that mean too? Hey, if you want someone who's physically fit and takes care of yourself, but you're not, you got some work to do.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's not like per like energy, attracting energy. So I would say, if that's on I need someone who's physically fit and likes to eat healthy. Well, if you're not, you need to work towards that if you want to be in alignment with, what you want.
Yeah.
So that would be a perfect time for self-improvement. And it starts with looking inward, looking at ourselves, being intentional, really reflecting on, where are we? Who are we? Who do we want to be? Where do we want to be? And what's the next best step I can take to be where I want to be?
That's right.
And to live the life that I want to live.
Yeah. And that's what you want to come across with your profile building. You really want to be able to flush that out of yourself, to put the intentions out there as honestly, as clearly as possible, because that is what's going to draw like-minded, like-hearted, like spirit to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So don't be generic, because you're not. take that extra effort, develop and understand.
And feel it.
Own
Back
it.
to Joe Dispenza. A lot of people misconceive manifestation. They think if they just repeat something over and over and over again, it's going to happen, and they're disappointed when it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because they're regurgitating it and they're coming from here. They're putting the antenna out there, but it's all mental. It's all mental. There's no magnet. You've got to put the heart to it. You've got to be genuine. And that's where being genuine, you've got to feel it, really feel it. Not, oh, well, this is what I think other women want or other men want, so I'll do that too, or I'll write my profile like that. That's disingenuine. And that won't magnetize what you're truly, truly looking for. So just remember to have your heart in it. Have your heart space in it, because it's then that energy will, magnetize to like energy, as Jeff said.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. You can get this book, Miracles Online. Let me show the cover. YayuPublishing.com. YAYUPublishing.com. There's a bookstore there to take you there. You can get this. Even if you only got the most out of this chapter about building the profile, it'll pay for itself just from that, because that is key.
2 cups of coffee.
Well, if you go to Starbucks with, one of those
more
things,
than that.
way more than that.
Hey, do we want to say where the Yayu, frog in my throat.
Okay.
Do we want to say where the Yayu Publishing came from?
No, not right now. Because we don't need to just give you everything on every podcast now, do we?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we got to save stuff.
Yeah. So here's from my heart to you. I want you to be able to find your true love. And it is very possible if you do all the right steps. It's no different than baiting the right hooks, setting the right precedent to bring in that energy, that individual being, that special someone that's going to be incredible being part of your life. So you need to recognize it, honor it, and look for it. And with that, building your profile, advertising yourself in the same way. What are you giving that is going to be the most tremendous addition to someone else's life? That to me is the game changer right there. So with that being said, Kat, I love you, babe.
Oh,
and we seal it with a kiss.
Oh.
I will see you guys in the next podcast.
Bye.
Two, one.
Wait a minute.
She
You
said,
need
what?
this button.
Why?
Because you look sloppy.
I don't.
Well, that's too big for you, that shirt. Probably.
Jeez. So as you can see, welcome to Miracles Online. We start off with, hey, look at you. Do this, don't look right. How dare you show up on camera like this? And
Are you going to wear the headphones?
well, I'll take it off in a second. My name is Jeff, and this is
Kat?
And thank you for joining us again at Miracles Online podcast. This is part of the support that we bring to you, the audience, on.
Oh, we're recording? I don't know we're recording.
What do you think? You just keep going.
You got to tell me.
Just keep going. So with that, we're going to talk about one of the most important things about dating online, which is creating the profile. And I know we covered this previous episode, but I really think we need to put a little bit more emphasis on this, just due to the fact that that is your first impression and that is your calling card. So without further ado, let's dive deep into this. Kat, share with us a little bit about how you approach your profile, because it was genuinely very different. And I recognized it right off the bat out of thousands of profiles that was just out there online, that hers was just uniquely her.
Well, Jeff, to answer that and go back in time, I would say that I really started out, and I touched on this a little bit in the previous episode, was that I really sat down and made a list on paper of what I call the negotiables and the non-negotiables. So the non-negotiables are, my partner must absolutely have these qualities. or it's a deal breaker. The non-negotiable or the negotiables, I'm sorry, were, well, this would be nice, but it's not a deal breaker. And that is so different from every person. Okay. And that's really, if you believe in, as we do, that thoughts become things and that our thoughts are energy and everything is energy in the quantum field of time, space, and matter. And that is the beginning, really, of putting it out there, putting that antenna out there to attract someone who is a good match for you. And again, we're all different. I think I mentioned this last time, but it's worth repeating. So when you talk about the physical aspects, because we have to be physically attracted, I have a friend who loved bold men. She thought they're extremely sexy. And as I'm sure they can be, it just was not something that I was attracted. I liked men with hair, not particularly long hair, but balding wasn't a good look, an attractive look for me. An initial energetic match for me. That's on the physical side, but I think it really pays to really sit with yourself and figure out the foundation of who you are from a mind, body, spirit. How do you eat? How do you take care of yourself health-wise? How do you feed yourself from a spiritual perspective? How do you view the world? Those are foundational things that if you put the hook out there for all the superficial things, and we're going to we've created a sheet, and it's the top 5 profile tips for women and men online. And we're going to give you a way to receive this and sign up for our newsletter. If we don't touch on all of them in this episode, you'll have this, and it's a little bit different than it is for men, from women to men. But ditch the pictures. Make it natural. If you can, have a headshot and a full body shot. Maybe doing something that you love, playing guitar or hiking. Ditch the gym selfies. Don't need those. Stay authentic. If you want to attract your authentic match, you've got to be authentic, right? In order to attract
100%.
Someone who's authentic. So be what you want to attract. And I know it's hard not to follow what you see out there. You click on Instagram and you see, what did you call the TNA and gym selfies and, a bunch of other stuff that's probably not the best way that you want to present yourself. And as Jeff mentioned, that's your calling card for online dating is the profile. It starts with the profile picture and, of course, the description. One thing that really struck me on this tips was, don't just describe, well, I'm funny and I like someone with a sense of humor. Be funny. If you say you're funny, don't just say you're funny, be funny. So give a little, my niece says I make the best Mickey Mouse pancakes, cut out pancakes, be something humorous to show that you're humorous. And again, being will then attract someone who's funny, who likes someone who's quirky and funny. That's who you are.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, because of today's generation having such an exposure of self through social media and online content, branding is almost essential. So now when
What do you mean by branding?
Well, branding essentially is how the world is going to see you and how they're going to recognize you and how you are going to attract that quote unquote, that type of energy, that type of people, or however you want people to remember you with. So the key thing about this is online dating is for seriousness of relationship seeking, wanting to build a relationship. So you got to take that impression that you're doing from social media, such as Instagram, where you're doing all these little cheesecake, I'm so cute, my socks things. Don't do that. That's not really you.
Don't do that.
Right, because the fact that it comes down to profiling to find a relationship that is long lasting past your cutesiness of 20s, 30s, 40s, and on and on. You're building a family is what you're seeking. I mean, it starts with each other. So if you're serious and you're seeking that, then you need to evaluate how you look at yourself on this branding aspect of it. The reason why I brought the word branding out is because today's society, in today's generation, understands the importance of, oh, what color, what style that I want to represent. All these little things can be used.
But it boils down to be yourself.
Yeah.
Don't think you have to brand yourself. This isn't a business. Be your authentic self. And if we haven't, mentioned, Miracles Online, the book that I wrote, is for someone who is single, widowed, divorced, 18 or 80. Okay. I was in my 40s, single mom of 3. And so it's amazing the technology that's advanced, of course, in 25 years that I found my miracle online, actually going on 27 now. But what has been a constant and what it stays the same is really that authenticity. And it comes back to the one chapter that I think is the most important, and that is the profile, which is why we're going to give away this 5 tips for men and women how to build the best profile, because that is your calling card. I'm not going to call it branding, but that's your calling card to help you to attract someone who is a match for you. Because if you're just trying to be like everyone else, you're probably not going to get the most authentic match for you. And I think a lot of people make that mistake. I've talked to a lot of young people and mature people who have fallen prey into, well, let's just do what everybody else is doing and not having success. And the good news is that I've talked to several folks who have utilized the tips in the book and changed their profiles and received phenomenal difference in the type of men and or women who were attracted to what they're putting out there. And I've got a call-in, I don't know if that's not a call-in, but a write-in story that is pretty inspiring on just that topic. Let me know when you want me to read that.
Okay. Well, right now, I think we were still at a point where we're showcasing this book to help everyone to build a profile for online dating. Now, of course, let's introduce ourselves in a different way, that we have this life experience together for 20 plus years, 27 years, right? Like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And the incredible aspect of it is that this was something that we were focused on doing from day one. So it wasn't that we kind of just grew into it. We knew immediately of why we did online dating, who we're looking for, and what we want out of the results of that relationship. So that to me is huge in an importance aspect for you to decide.
The intention. And that's actually one of the points that is brought up is that be clear on your intentions when you're building your profiles, as well as when we get into other topics, conversation starters and how to take it, past the connection. But you want to be clear on your intention. If you're just looking for casual companionship just to do stuff with, or you're just looking for a hookup, or if you're, what are the other options? If you're not looking for a serious, committed relationship, just be clear about that. Because again, that's being your authentic self, and everybody's different. There's no wrong or right, in terms of that. Just like there's no age discrepancy. So just be clear about what you want, so that again, you will attract that like individual, and they can make a decision. It's fair to them and it's fair to you. And you'll find that you're having more authentic, real connections that way by putting yourself out that way.
No question. So the top 5 dating sheet, I'm going to create this into a PDF, and we're going to do a download over at yayupublishing.com. That's YAYUpublishing.com. There's a link there for free chapters. If you go there, the workbook and free stuff such as this one sheet will be there as well. We want to be able to provide for you, the audience, the best foot forward on your success to a great relationship, because we know how fruitful and how giving this is, and how well that we search and seek our lives to have this level of intimacy to
Well,
each other.
and the technology is just, it's phenomenal, you know, that that you can reach so many people. Again, it starts with that profile and getting next to yourself and really in defining what's important to you. But I will tell you through experience, you know, having been a single mom of 3 kids, over 40, divorced, and having gone through the speed dating, the hookup, you know, setup dating, the bar dating, all the traditional ways. And what really, really fascinated me when I received that email on Match.com, a free 2-week trial, was how incredibly efficient, you know, how long, you know, does it take to, you know, let's say go to the gym. I would go to work. I was, you know, worked in a Fortune 100 company, and I would, you know, go to the gym after work. And how many weeks would I think, you know, oh, that guy's pretty cute. I wonder, you know, maybe we'll work out next to each other, or, you know, I mean, weeks could go by, and then you finally are working out next to him, and you find out that he's married, or he has a girlfriend, or, you know, he's not single at all, you know. So yeah, nice fantasizing for however many weeks, but not really getting you to, you know, the relationship that you're hoping
That's
to
right.
build.
You know what? And I think, you know, you got to get off the pot. You can't be fearful of, oh, I'm lonely, but I can't do anything about it. Or I'm lonely, I'm not willing to do anything about it. Or I'm alone and there's nothing to do about it. Right?
Because there's lots of other lonely people out there.
Oh, sure.
And not, you know, lonely, but valuable, wonderful people. And you know, you just got to go out there and have enough coffee dates with them. I mentioned before on this podcast that when I met Jeff, I was researching for this book, and I had something like 9 coffee dates, because I had progressed from then, which of course back then we didn't have the visuals, we didn't have the FaceTime and so forth. You had to get off the email. I learned to get off the email very quickly. You know, somebody very articulate could send a lot of nice emails, but you don't have no idea if you're really compatible. You haven't even spoke to them or felt their energy, whether it was just voice or in person. So I quickly, you know, went into, okay, we passed the voice test, then we will meet for a short coffee. And you can tell usually within a few minutes whether you're compatible. At least I could.
That's really quick now, isn't it?
Well,
I drove an hour and a half. You gave me 30 seconds.
I never would drive an hour and a half, but but you could tell, because there's that, you know, we talked about this before. There's the things you check off your list. Well, they must have this. This is my absolutes. This is okay. It might be nice if he was rich, but if he's not, that's okay. But he must have a sense of humor, or he must have a sense of values, whatever is your non-negotiables. And the list can be as short or as long as you desire. But then there's that thing that you really can't put on paper, and that's called chemistry.
Yeah.
Right. And so that you can, at least I could usually sense, you know, if there was an uncomfortableness, or if there was a, you know, if that energy was compatible pretty quick.
Right.
And that just says, okay, so we'll turn another card over from the deck.
Another card.
We'll turn another card
That's right.
until we go, nope, that's a Close the deck. Close the deck. We
Well,
don't need any.
And the interesting thing too, from my end, from a guy's point of view, I wasn't looking in the sense of, okay, it has to fit this, that, and the other, because I thought that would, constrict what the universe was going to bring to me.
So you didn't have a negotiable and non-negotiable?
Not like in that sense.
Huh.
What I was looking at is I was like, okay, number one, guys, I think, are much more visual about the attractiveness. Do I like the way she looks? Right?
Well, that's kind of shallow.
It's very shallow, but I'm going to be very honest with you that you're not necessarily looking for a model perfect or anything like that. You're looking for a connection, something that seemed familiar. That's the way I would describe it. A welcoming. Like, for instance, if you see somebody who just doesn't seem to have a connection with you, well, why would you even approach it if you already getting a negative feeling from it? That's how I. Of course, Kat and I both have different fundamental backgrounds too. So as you well know that, I wrote 365 Methods, she wrote Miracles Online, but yet we have this incredible relationship together, this wonderful marriage. And we were so different. And that's the beauty of the universe, the yin and the yang, the positive and the negative, how we play off each other. It's just so incredibly fulfilling to be part of that.
So who did I remind you of?
That's what it was unique, was black and white photos, right?
Yeah.
The part when I saw the black and white photos, I did think, vintage Hollywood and so forth. It had a very, very unique Jane Russell-esque to it. And I would say that was the closest thing that I would equate to. It's like, man, this is like a sexy, dark-haired Jane Russell, Marilyn Monroe, right? That's exactly how it came
Dark
across.
hair. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly how it came across to me in the sense of visual effect. But the irony behind that too is that when I first saw it, the scroll ad, it just was like, yeah, okay, she looks different than everybody else who's in there riding the pony or whatever it may be.
I wasn't on the pony.
No, you weren't on the pony. But and Scott, this is where there's heaven sent and God blessed me with it. The whole entire thing that I've asked for, because it kept on going through the rotations of these. Hey, you want to check out? This is a match made for you. So the algorithm was pulling us together.
Kept scrolling my picture.
Yeah, it did. And I think the only criteria I might have put in was like age. Maybe ethnicity. I don't know. I don't recall ever having to put a lot of parameters, because I know I was a webmaster at that point. And if you put too much parameters, you're screwing yourself out of things that you're going to miss. Because we were still at the wild west side of the late 90s internet.
We were pioneers in
Yes.
online dating, right?
Yeah, today, with today's technology, you can sneeze and it'll tell you what kind of cold medicine that you should be taking on your social media the next time you turn it on.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding.
Sure.
So if you went on dating, wow, I can only imagine.
I love you, little.
Hey, did you hear that?
I love you, big bear. Red heart emoji.
Red heart. So every day we have this reminder that pops up in our house.
I love you, little bear.
And it's actually really cool.
Red heart emoji.
And this came to me as definitely a message of love. The Alexa in our house at 6:04 repeats every day on "I love you, big bear. I love you, little bear." And the bear came from our story of we were both asleep right when we were still newlyweds, and I leaned over to tell her I love her, and instead of say baby or I love you, dear, I slurred out bear, and I remembered it distinctively the next morning. How that came about. And from that point on, we became the Bears.
Yeah. A combination of deer
And baby.
and baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Bear. Yeah.
so move forward to fuel love. And this is a key factor about this whole matching relationship. What is your intent? Are you ready to spend your life with someone? Because it requires daily reminders, the daily efforts, right? The daily love, open your heart. Hey, I love you, big bear. I love you, little bear. Always. No matter how bad today might have been because of this, that, or the other, they don't really matter. So the intention of that growth and that goodness is what we're nurturing on a regular basis. Now, how do you bring that and find the right partner is crucial, because you keep on playing the field and play the game. You keep on bringing people in. and they're not relevant in the sense of they're not resonating. They're not part of you. Then you burn another X amount of time. The worst is that you have these physical intimacy with the other person. Now their energy is part of you. Oh, gee, how long is that going to run for? Do your research. But I can tell you this, that is not optimal of building yourself. And remember, finding true love, the Miracles Online, is giving your true self out there, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
tell us that story at this point, Kat, regards to how this all ties in about doing the things, being the true self.
Doing the things. And,
Yeah, like that story you have that you're going to share with us.
Oh, you mean the person that wrote in?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, I think that kind of ties into to the profile, which is, you will
Yes.
hear us beat that dead horse, if you will, because it is so important. Now, I know there's folks out there, maybe again, who have used social media online apps unsuccessfully, and or who have never, and who are maybe over 40, over 50, over 60. But you don't have to be alone. Just know that I describe this as a GPS for online dating, this less than 100-page book, because it will help you navigate through, the different topics, which we will touch on. What happens when I get ghosted? How do I stay safe? How do I write the best profile? And stay tuned, because we're going to have a workbook to give you those tools coming soon. It's not a long workbook, but it'll be an adjunct workbook, because it is so important to really put it down on paper so that you can craft the best profile, which is, that bait on the hook. What do you want to put out there, that resonates with your true authentic self will attract, the best partner possible for you. So I'm going to read this little story. This was someone who wrote in. This was submitted by Darren T., 54 years young, from Chicago, Illinois. He says, I've been divorced 5 years and tried every dating app out there. You might relate with that, but nothing clicked. My profile read like a LinkedIn page, polished, professional, and totally impersonal. So it's just from a guy. Maybe a guy has more tendency to do that than a girl, maybe not. One day I was reading your book out loud about leading with the heart, not performance. So I took the risk. I shared my real passions, which is jazz, hiking at sunrise, and the journey I've been on to heal my grief after losing my sister. I even wrote, I'm not looking for perfect, I'm looking for present. The response was overwhelming. I didn't just get matches, I got conversations that mattered. That is so key right there. You're not looking for matches, you're looking for depth, right? You're looking for connection. Right. He says, I got conversations that mattered. Now I'm dating someone who says our first chat felt like a prayer answered. Isn't that so sweet?
Beautiful. Being
real changed everything. And it started with one sentence from you. You can't attract what you're hiding from. Thank you so much. Thank you for submitting this and letting us know, Darren.
Wow.
And I just wish you and your now significant other just all the best. All the best. It looks like you've come out to your true authentic self and attracted someone who's a perfect match. So that's really heartwarming.
Okay, so this is part where I tell you, if you're ready to date online, go get the book. Go to yahoopublishing.com. There's a bookstore there. All our books are linked there. But Miracles Online by my lovely wife, Kat. My dad loved her. Kit Kat. That's what she said. Yeah.
Yes, he called me Kit Kat.
Kit Kat.
Like the candy bar.
So, as you all know, Kat has also been on the online doing podcasts for years. She has her own channel on YouTube with Kat's Home Chat. So if you like stuff about all things home, right?
All things home. We started just a little bit about that. We started all things real estate because I started over 12 years ago a home staging business. And so realtors were a big part of my clientele. And so we did all things home. So we would have everything from realtors to home inspection to photographers to inspectors, anything to do with home. There's so many moving parts and pieces. And then I think it was about when the whole COVID conundrum thing came about. I thought, you know what? Everything happens at home. Let's cross off real estate and do a KAT's home chat, all things home. We've had everything because, look at all the home businesses that were started up because of the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
So many businesses are started from home. We've even had a sex therapist. I mean, gosh, sex happens at home usually, right? Not the backseat of a car, which we've never done. So
No, we haven't.
No, we haven't.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know at our age. I think we have over 110 episodes.
Around that, yeah.
About 110 episodes. So we do a lot of replays because again with the whole COVID thing,
Right.
My business took a pivot, that overused
That's
word,
right.
but so poignant.
But you do so much more though. You have the biophilic manufacturing.
Well, I'm getting into that. Okay. So design, I started doing a lot more design now. Probably 50% of my business is design because, people are wanting their sanctuaries, their homes to be welcoming. It should feel like a warm hug when they walk in. It should feel pleasant to them. Also carving out home office spaces because so many people no longer brick and mortar are working from home. At least a couple days a week, if not more, with the whole COVID conundrum.
I like how you tie all this together to the living by design thing.
KAT by KAT, next level staging and design, living by design. So my latest venture has been, I'm working on a second book, When the Mind Changes Its Mind. So stay tuned for that. And as Jeff mentioned, I developed home art. When you're doing staging, I pride myself on being a color expert. I have not one, but 3 master certifications for color because color is complicated. And it helps me to diversify and not look like every other stager. One of my color gurus coined it bowls of oatmeal. So you won't find typically bowls of oatmeal. We do use some muted rusts and black and beige, but those are all neutrals, in my opinion. But I wanted to bring the outdoors in. So as Jeff started to mention, I create custom biophilic wall art and also table art with preserved mosses. The beauty is you don't have to have a green thumb, and the studies show, interestingly enough, that you get that same lowered heart rate, calming feeling from preserved arts, which we have over there, but you can't.
But also talk about the frequency infusion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everything is done while infusing a 432 hertz frequency, which 432 is the vibrational frequency of the balance of the earth, I believe is how it's described. Is that correct, Jeff? Yeah. So we choose to do the 432. If you study frequency, you can do healing and all kinds of things with various frequencies, but 432 is the most balanced. So we do that.
This is my miracles online. I thank God every day, every moment for it. Two, one.
Wait a minute.
She
You
says,
need
what?
this button.
Why?
Because you look sloppy.
I don't.
Well, that's too big for you, that shirt, probably.
Jeez. So as you can see, welcome to Miracles Online. We
Where-
start off with, hey, look at you. Do this don't look right. How dare you show up on camera like this? And
Are you going to wear the headphones?
I'll take it off in a second. My name is Jeff, and this is
Kat?
And thank you for joining us again at Miracles Online podcast. This is part of the support that we bring to you, the audience, on.
Oh, we're recording? I don't know we're recording.
What do you think? You just keep going.
You got to tell me.
Just keep going. So with that, we're going to talk about one of the most important things about dating online, which is creating the profile. And I know we covered this previous episode, but I really think we need to put a little bit more emphasis on this, just due to the fact that that is your first impression and that is your calling card. So without further ado, let's dive deep into this. Kat, share with us a little bit about how you approach your profile, because it was genuinely very different. And I recognized it right off the bat out of thousands of profiles that was just out there online, that hers was just uniquely her.
Well, Jeff, to answer that and go back in time, I would say that I really started out, and I touched on this a little bit in the previous episode, was that I really sat down and made a list on paper of what I call the negotiables and the non-negotiables. So the non-negotiables are, my partner must absolutely have these qualities, or it's a deal breaker. The non-negotiable, or the negotiables, were, well, this would be nice, but it's not a deal breaker. And that is so different from every person. Okay. And that's really, if you believe in, as we do, that thoughts become things, and that our thoughts are energy and everything is energy in the quantum field of time, space, and matter. And that is the beginning, really, of putting it out there, putting that antenna out there to attract someone who is a good match for you. And again, we're all different. I think I mentioned this last time, but it's worth repeating. So when you talk about the physical aspects, because we have to be physically attracted, I have a friend who loves bold men. She thought they're extremely sexy. And as I'm sure they can be, it just was not something that I was attracted. I like men with hair, not particularly long hair, but balding wasn't a good look, an attractive look for me. An initial energetic match for me. That's on the physical side, but I think it really pays to really sit with yourself and figure out the foundation of who you are from a mind, body, spirit. How do you eat? How do you take care of yourself health-wise? How do you feed yourself from a spiritual perspective? How do you view the world? Those are foundational things that if you put the hook out there for all the superficial things, and we're going to create, actually, we've created a sheet, and it's the top 5 profile tips for women and men online. And we're going to give you a way to receive this and sign up for our newsletter. If we don't touch on all of them in this episode, you'll have this, and it's a little bit different than it is for men, from women to men. But ditch those pictures. Make it natural. If you can, have a headshot and a full body shot. Maybe doing something that you love, playing guitar or hiking. Ditch the gym selfies. Don't need those. Stay authentic. If you want to attract your authentic match, you've got to be authentic, right? In order to attract
100%.
Someone who's authentic. So be what you want to attract. And I know it's hard not to follow what you see out there. You click on Instagram and you see what did you call the TNA and gym selfies and, a bunch of other stuff that's probably not the best way that you want to present yourself. And as Jeff mentioned, that's your calling card for online dating is the profile. It starts with the profile picture and, of course, the description. One thing that really struck me on this tips was, don't just describe, well, I'm funny and I like someone with a sense of humor. Be funny. If you say you're funny, don't just say you're funny, be funny. So give a little, my niece says I make the best Mickey Mouse pancakes, cut out pancakes, be something humorous to show that you're humorous. And again, being will then attract someone who's funny, who likes someone who's quirky and funny. That's who you are.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, because of today's generation having such an exposure of self through social media and online content, branding is almost essential. So now when
What do you
look
mean by branding?
well, branding essentially is how the world is going to see you and how they're going to recognize you and how you are going to attract that quote unquote, that type of energy, that type of people, or however you want the people to remember you with. So the key thing about this is online dating is for seriousness of relationship seeking, wanting to build relationship. So you got to take that impression that you're doing from social media, such as Instagram, where you're doing all these little cheesecake, I'm so cute, my socks things. Don't do that. That's not really you.
Don't do that.
Right, because the fact that it comes down to profiling to find a relationship that is long lasting past your cutesiness of 20s, 30s, 40s, and on. You're building a family is what you're seeking. I mean, it starts with each other. So if you're serious and you're seeking that, then you need to evaluate how you look at yourself on this branding aspect of it. The reason why I brought the word branding now is because today's society in today's generation understands the importance of, what color, what style that I want to represent. All these little things can be used.
But it boils down to be yourself.
Yeah.
Don't think you have to brand yourself. This isn't a business. Be your authentic self. And if we haven't, mentioned, Miracles Online, the book that I wrote, is for someone who is single, widowed, divorced, 18 or 80. Okay. I was in my 40s, single mom of 3. And so it's amazing the technology that's advanced, of course, in 25 years that I found my miracle online, actually going on 27 now. But what has been a constant and what it stays the same is really that authenticity. And it comes back to the one chapter that I think is the most important, and that is the profile, which is why we're going to give away this 5 tips for men and women how to build the best profile, because that is your calling card. I'm not going to call it branding, but that's your calling card to help you to attract someone who is a match for you. Because if you're just trying to be like everyone else, you're probably not going to get the most authentic match for you. And I think a lot of people make that mistake. I've talked to a lot of young people and mature people who have fallen prey into, well, let's just do what everybody else is doing and not having success. And the good news is that I've talked to several folks who have utilized the tips in the book and changed their profiles and received phenomenal difference in the type of men and or women who were attracted to what they're putting out there. And I've got a call-in, I don't know if that's not a call-in, but a write-in story that is pretty inspiring on just that topic. Let me know when you want me to read that.
Okay. Well, right now, I think we were still at a point where we're showcasing this book to help everyone to build a profile for online dating. Now, of course, let's introduce ourselves in a different way, that we have this life experience together for 20 plus years, 27 years, right? Like you said.
Mhm.
And the incredible aspect of it is that this was something that we were focused on doing from day one. So it wasn't that we kind of just grew into it. We knew immediately of why we did online dating, who we're looking for, and what we want out of the results of that relationship. So that to me is huge in an importance aspect for you to decide.
The intention, and that's actually one of the points that is brought up, is that be clear on your intentions when you're building your profile, as well as when we get into other topics, conversation starters, and have to take it, past the connection. But you want to be clear on your intention. If you're just looking for casual companionship just to do stuff with, or you're just looking for a hookup, or if you're, what are the other options? If you're not looking for a serious committed relationship, just be clear about that. Because again, that's being your authentic self, and everybody's different. There's no wrong or right, in terms of that. Just like there's no age discrepancy. So just be clear about what you want, so that, again, you will attract that like individual, and they can make a decision. It's fair to them and it's fair to you. And you'll find that you're having more authentic, real connections that way, by putting yourself out that way.
No question. So the top 5 dating sheet, I'm going to create this into a PDF, and we're going to do a download over at yayupublishing.com. That's YAYUpublishing.com. There's a link there for free chapters. If you go there, the workbook and free stuff such as this one sheet will be there as well. We want to be able to provide for you, the audience, the best foot forward on your success to a great relationship, because we know how fruitful and how giving this is, and how well that we search and seek our lives to have this level of intimacy to
Well,
each other.
and the technology is just, it's phenomenal, that
Yeah.
That you can reach so many people. Again, it starts with that profile and getting next to yourself, and really in defining what's important to you. But I will tell you through experience, having been a single mom of 3 kids, over 40, divorced, and having gone through the speed dating, the hookup, setup dating, the bar dating, all the traditional ways. And what really, really fascinated me when I received that email on Match.com, a free 2-week trial, was how incredibly efficient, how long, does it take to, let's say, go to the gym. I would go to work. I was, worked in a Fortune 100 company, and I would, go to the gym after work. And how many weeks would I think, oh, that guy's pretty cute. I wonder, maybe we'll work out next to each other, or, weeks could go by, and then you finally are working out next to him, and you find out that he's married, or he has a girlfriend, or he's not single at all. So nice fantasizing for however many weeks, but not really getting you to the relationship that you're hoping
That's
to
right.
build.
And you know what? Then I think you got to get off the pot. You can't be fearful of, oh, I'm lonely, but I can't do anything about it, or I'm lonely, I'm not willing to do anything about it, or I'm alone and there's nothing to do about it, right?
Because there's lots of other lonely people out there.
Oh, sure.
And not, lonely, but valuable, wonderful people. And you just got to go out there and have enough coffee dates with them. I mentioned before on this podcast that when I met Jeff, I was researching for this book, And I had something like 9 coffee dates because I had progressed from then, which of course back then we didn't have the visuals, we didn't have the FaceTime and so forth. You had to get off the email. I learned to get off the email very quickly. Somebody very articulate could send a lot of nice emails, but you don't have no idea if you're really compatible. You haven't even spoke to them or felt their energy, whether it was just voice or in person. So I quickly, went into, okay, we passed the voice test, then we will meet for a short coffee. And you can tell usually within a few minutes whether you're compatible. At least I could.
That's really quick now, isn't it?
Well,
I drove an hour and a half. You gave me 30 seconds.
I never would drive an hour and a half, but but you could tell because there's that. We talked about this before. There's the things you check off your list. Well, they must have this. This is my absolutes. This is okay. It might be nice if he was rich, but if he's not, that's okay. But he must have a sense of humor, or he must have a sense of values, whatever is your non-negotiables. And the list can be as short or as long as you desire. But then there's that thing that you really can't put on paper. And that's called chemistry.
Yeah.
Right. And so that you can, at least I could usually sense, if there was an uncomfortableness or if there was if that energy was compatible pretty quick.
Right.
And that just says, okay, so we'll turn another card over from the deck.
Another card.
We'll turn another card
That's right.
until we go, nope, close the deck. Close the deck. We don't need any more.
And the interesting thing too, from my end, from a guy's point of view, I wasn't looking in the sense of, okay, it has to fit this, that, and the other, because I thought that would, constrict what the universe was going to bring to me.
So you didn't have a negotiable and non-negotiable?
Not like in that sense.
Huh.
What I was looking at is I was like, okay, number one, guys, I think, are much more visual about the attractiveness. Do I like the way she looks? Right?
Well, that's kind of shallow.
It's very shallow, but I'm going to be very honest with you that you're not necessarily looking for a model perfect or anything like that. You're looking for a connection, something that seemed familiar. That's the way I would describe it. A welcoming. Like, for instance, if you see somebody who just doesn't seem to have a connection with you, well, why would you even approach it if you already getting a negative feeling from it? That's how I. Of course, Kat and I both have different fundamental backgrounds too. So as you well know that, I wrote 365 Methods, she wrote Miracles Online, but yet we have this incredible relationship together, this wonderful marriage. And we were so different. And that's the beauty of the universe, the yin and the yang, the positive and the negative, how we play off each other. It's just so incredibly fulfilling to be part of that.
So who did I remind you of?
That's what it was unique was black and white photos, right?
Yeah.
The part when I saw the black and white photos, I did think, vintage Hollywood and so forth. It had a very, very unique Jane Russell-esque to it. And I would say that was the closest thing that I would equate to. It's like, man, this is like a sexy, dark-haired Jane Russell, Marilyn Monroe, right? That's exactly how it came
dark
across.
hair. Yeah.
That's exactly how it came across to me in the sense of visual effect. But the irony behind that too is that when I first saw it, the scroll ad, it just was like, yeah, okay, she looks different than everybody else who's in there riding the pony or whatever it may be.
I wasn't on the pony.
No, you weren't on the pony. But and Scott, this is where there's heaven sent and God blessed me with the whole entire thing that I've asked for, because it kept on going through the rotations of these. Hey, you want to check out? This is a match made for you. So the algorithm was pulling us together.
Kept scrolling my picture.
Yeah, it did. And I think the only criteria I might have put in was like age. Maybe ethnicity. I don't know. I don't recall ever having to put a lot of parameters, because I know I was a webmaster at that point. And if you put too much parameters, you're screwing yourself out of things that you're going to miss. because we were still at the Wild Wild West side of the late 90s internet.
We were pioneers in
Yes.
online dating, right?
Yeah, today, with today's technology, you can sneeze and it'll tell you what kind of cold medicine that you should be taking on your social media the next time you turn it on.
Yeah,
And I'm not kidding.
sure.
So if you went on dating, wow, I can only imagine.
I love you, little.
Hey, did you hear that?
I love you, big bear. Red heart emoji.
Red heart. So every day we have this reminder that pops up in our house.
I love you, little bear.
And it's actually really cool.
Red heart emoji.
And this came to me as definitely a message of love. The Alexa in our house at 6:04 repeats every day on "I love you, big bear. I love you, little bear." And the bear came from our story of we were both asleep right when we were still newlyweds, and I leaned over to tell her I love her, and instead of say baby or "I love you, dear," I slurred out bear, and I remembered it distinctively the next morning how that came about. And from that point on, we became the Bears
Yeah, a combination of deer
and baby.
and baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Bear. Yeah.
so move forward to fuel love. And this is a key factor about this whole matching relationship. What is your intent? Are you ready to spend your life with someone? Because it requires daily reminders, the daily efforts, right? The daily love, open your heart. Hey, I love you, big bear. I love you, little bear. Always. No matter how bad today might have been because of this, that, or the other, they don't really matter. So the intention of that growth and that goodness is what we're nurturing on a regular basis. Now, how do you bring that and find the right partner is crucial, because you keep on playing the field and play the game. You keep on bringing people in, and they're not relevant in the sense of they're not resonating. They're not part of you. Then you burn another X amount of time. The worst is that you have these physical intimacy with the other person. Now their energy is part of you. Oh, gee, how long is that going to run for? Do your research. But I can tell you this, that is not optimal of building yourself. And remember, finding true love, the miracles online, is giving your true self out there, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
tell us that story at this point, Kat, regards to how this all ties in about doing the things, being the true self.
Doing the things. And,
Yeah, like that story you have that you're going to share with us.
Oh, you mean the person that wrote in?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I think that kind of ties into to the profile, which is, you will
Yes.
hear us beat that dead horse, if you will, because it is so important. Now, I know there's folks out there, maybe again, who have used social media online apps unsuccessfully, and or who have never, and who are maybe over 40, over 50, over 60. But you don't have to be alone. Just know that I describe this as a GPS for online dating, this less than 100-page book, because it will help you navigate through, the different topics, which we will touch on. What happens when I get ghosted? How do I stay safe? How do I write the best profile? And stay tuned, because we're going to have a workbook to give you those tools coming soon. It's not a long workbook, but it'll be an adjunct workbook, because it is so important to really put it down on paper so that you can craft the best profile, which is, that bait on the hook. What do you want to put out there, that resonates with your true authentic self will attract, the best partner possible for you. So I'm going to read this little story. This was someone who wrote in. This was submitted by Darren T., 54 years young, from Chicago, Illinois. He says, I've been divorced 5 years and tried every dating app out there. You might relate with that, but nothing clicked. My profile read like a LinkedIn page, polished, professional, and totally impersonal. So it's just from a guy. Maybe a guy has more tendency to do that than a girl, maybe not. One day I was reading your book out loud about leading with the heart, not performance. So I took the risk. I shared my real passions, which is jazz, hiking at sunrise, and the journey I've been on to heal my grief after losing my sister. I even wrote, I'm not looking for perfect, I'm looking for present. The response was overwhelming. I didn't just get matches, I got conversations that mattered. That is so key right there. You're not looking for
Yes.
matches, you're looking for depth, right? You're looking for connection.
Right.
He says, I got conversations that mattered. Now I'm dating someone who says our first chat felt like a prayer answered. Isn't that so sweet?
Beautiful.
Being real changed everything. And it started with one sentence from you. You can't attract what you're hiding from. Thank you so much. Thank you for submitting this and letting us
Wow.
know, Darren.
Wow.
And I just wish you and your now significant other just all the best. All the best. It looks like you've come out to your true authentic self and attracted someone who's a perfect match. So that's
Yes.
really heartwarming.
Okay, so this is part where I tell you, if you're ready to date online, go get the book. Go to yayupublishing.com. There's a bookstore there. All our books are linked there. But Miracles Online by my lovely wife, KAT. My dad loved her. Kit Kat.
May he
That's what
rest
she
in
said.
peace.
Yeah,
Yes, he called me Kit Kat,
Kit Kat.
like the candy bar.
So, as you all know, Kat has also been on the online doing podcasts for years. She has her own channel on YouTube with Kat's Home Chat. So, if you like stuff about all things home, right?
All things home. We started just a little bit about that. We started all things real estate because I started over 12 years ago a home staging business. And so realtors were a big part of my clientele. And so we did all things home. So we would have everything from realtors to home inspection to photographers to inspectors, anything to do with home. There's so many moving parts and pieces. And then I think it was about when the whole COVID conundrum thing came about. I thought, you know what? Everything happens at home. Let's cross off real estate and do a KAT's Home Chat, all things home. We've had everything because, look at all the home businesses that were started up because of the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
So many businesses are started from home. We've even had a sex therapist. I mean, gosh, sex happens at home usually, right? Not the backseat of a car, which we've never done. So
No, we haven't.
no, we haven't.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know at our age. I think we have over 110 episodes.
Around that, yeah.
About 110 episodes. So we do a lot of replays because again with the whole COVID thing,
Right.
My business took a pivot, that overused
That's
word, but so poignant.
But you do so much more, though. You have the biophilic manufacturing.
I'm
I
getting
know.
into that. Okay. So design, I started doing a lot more design now. Probably 50% of my business is design because, people are wanting their sanctuaries, their homes to be welcoming. It should feel like a warm hug when they walk in. It should feel pleasant to them. Also carving out home office spaces because so many people no longer brick and mortar are working from home. At least a couple days a week, if not more, with the whole COVID conundrum.
But I like how you tie all this together to the living by design thing.
KAT by KAT, Next Level Staging and Design, Living by Design. So my latest venture has been, I'm working on a second book, When the Mind Changes Its Mind. So stay tuned for that. And as Jeff mentioned, I developed home art. When you're doing staging, I pride myself on being a color expert. I have not one, but 3 master certifications for color because color is complicated. And it helps me to diversify and not look like every other stager. One of my color gurus coined it bowls of oatmeal. So you won't find typically bowls of oatmeal, we do use some muted rusts and black and beige, but those are all neutrals, in my opinion. But I wanted to bring the outdoors in. So as Jeff started to mention, I create custom biophilic wall art and also table art with preserved mosses. The beauty is you don't have to have a green thumb, and the studies show, interestingly enough, that you get that same lowered heart rate, calming feeling from preserved arts, which we have over there, but you can't.
But
see
also
from here.
talk about the frequency infusion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everything is done while infusing a 432 hertz frequency, which 432 is the vibrational frequency of the balance of the earth, I believe is how it's described. Is that correct,
Yeah.
Jeff? Yeah. So we choose to do the 432. If you study frequency, you can do healing and all kinds of things with various frequencies, but 432 is the most balanced. So we do that. And so living by design, not by default, has actually now segued into not only When the Mind Changes Its Mind, my second solo book. I was a contributing author for Staging the World by Barb Schwartz, the creator of home staging. And I was very blessed to be able to contribute my story back then, dark hair back then, right? And the book is about that thick.
Yeah. See, everybody, see how diversified KAT really is. And this is how the profile actually came across, of having so richness of this. And I just was like, wow, it was so overwhelming.
It's overwhelming to me sometimes. It's like, stop already. But it just segues, I'm in a place in my life where both Jeff and I,
Yeah.
we have lived such a rich life and a rich marriage that we want to give back. That's what Miracles Online is all about. That's what 365 method is all about. And the final piece, I won't say final because it ain't over till it's over. And that is heart space hypnosis. I'm now a master hypnotist practitioner, along with an NLP, neuro-linguistics practitioner. And we are coupling that with living by design mindset coaching. For folks, some of my clients, they want the hypnosis for a specific thing, and we'll reinforce it with the living by design mindset coaching. So that's
How can you help me with my mindset to find my true love?
Ooh.
Huh?
Ooh. And
Help me, KAT.
yes. And that's a very good one, Jeff. Absolutely. Because typically what I have found in my experience is that there is often something in the subconscious, because folks don't realize that 95% of really what we do, act, think, say is coming, it's on autopilot from the subconscious. So there's usually something there that we can eradicate and reprogram. And as Marissa Peer says, because I was trained through her as well, through rapid transformational therapy, tell yourself a better lie. We have over 65,000 thoughts, some of us more, a day. And what I will say, what I said to my assistant today is, do not believe all of your thoughts. Do not believe your thoughts.
And why is that?
Because many of them are coming from bad programming, conditioning way back when people didn't, it was input and we were receptive, but it was a lie.
Yeah.
And so subconsciously we're hearing, I'm not good enough. I can't, I won't, I'm not this, I'm not that.
Right.
A lot of negative things. It comes back to many people feel they're not good enough and don't deserve. They don't deserve wealth. They don't deserve love. They don't deserve recognition. They don't deserve all these things. And that's on a subconscious level.
All those things really could contribute greatly on my online dating profile, wouldn't it?
Mm.
Because seriously, folks, if you're not really confident about what you're bringing to the table, that's the first thing you need to question. The intention of wanting love and wanting true love is noble. We all want that.
But you have to know that you deserve it. And, you know, I've said this before, I believe this is in my book. God wants you to have love as much as you want to be loved. You have to feel love. You have to feel lovable. And you asked, why, in that kind of hypothetical question, well, how come how come I'm not getting love? How come love seems to be repelling away from me? Well, there could be some subconscious neuroplasticity, some reprogramming that needs to happen to clear out that muck, those messages back, who knows how far back, when society, when, kids, when teachers, when unknowing parents, when, whatever told you you weren't good enough, you weren't lovable, showed you weren't lovable, and you internalized that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not a good match if I'm an alcoholic, right?
Well, that would be a good
Of course I am.
beginning, Jeff. Yeah, and because it's difficult to work, my work with, if you're an alcoholic, a severe alcoholic.
Yeah.
AA is good for that, to get off the alcohol.
Well, I'll bring that up. The key point is because, we really do take lighthearted in regards to how alcohol is influencing our society and how much of it we consume.
Because it's all about the money.
Yeah, but let's be realistic here. To find true love, to work with someone in a relationship, that takes patience, it takes skills, it takes tools, techniques, your intentions, your deep within inner self to your outer self. All these things matter in a great relationship. It's hard to do that. I know if you're punching a clock and you're coming home and you get your stovetop stuffers, whatever you get, right? And then you get your beers and drinks, wine, Cabernet, however you do it. And that becomes the cycle. And that is such a disservice to you.
And we all have, to varying degrees, and things that there's an old saying, what we don't deal with deals with us. And if you're drinking, eating, taking any kind of drugs, doing anything else, to shopping excessively, those are things that only are you doing them to the extent to numb yourself, to fill a hole that you haven't really addressed? Only you know that. Only you know that.
That's right.
But there's hope and there's help. It comes first with what I call, taking the sheet off and being brave enough to go, let me look at myself. I think it was Socrates that said, the life unexamined is a life not worth living. We really need to examine our lives, don't we? I mean, that takes courage to do that. But wow, when you do that and you peel away the pain, peel away the bad habits that are making you dull your best life that you could be living.
Sure.
It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Absolutely is.
And,
Yes.
and Jeff and I know that we've gone through it. We've gone through a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's especially, let's say, coming into a time of life where you feel, okay, I'm at a point in a place at this age I should be married. And that is a structure that is actually defeating the purpose of a great relationship, because you're going into it with entirely a wrong reason. So you have to really look at, okay, well, what am I missing for self? Of course, I'll give you the biggest example is that prior to me having a rebirth at age 29, and I've done that story, and I'll probably put it on Substack and you can read it there, but it was on Josh Reed's Conversations on the Fringe. I had a rebirth that basically structurally changed my inner self and spiritually aligned myself and let go of all the fear and the guilt that I had up to that age. And until I was able to recognize that I had that within me, there was no way I would have found the true love. The loves that we're finding was exactly what I was limited to receiving. I was getting dates, I was unsatisfying. There was really no intimacy with anybody because it was just so surfacey. And I knew that I wasn't just trying to get booty calls because that was not searching for the loved one, right? Thinking that in my head, that was propelling the drive of how do I be successful using online medium? Because you have to recognize this medium is huge. Out of maybe 20 ads that was coming on a newspaper or any kind of personal ad services, now you have thousands. And I can only imagine if you got a huge network that is, let's say, religious based or, certain interest group based that's for dating use. Then you're dealing with more hundreds of thousands, maybe even million memberships. Now, how are you going to fish through all that and to find the one that you know that you're not going to be wasting time with?
By building the best profile.
That's right. That's right. So getting to know yourself and giving yourself is the biggest part. And we can't stress enough in regards to the honesty, the authenticity of you understanding yourself, you recognizing yourself. This is one of the key factors that I think really synergistically also brought KAT into my life because I did a rebirth, and the person in the program that was responsible for came from Barbara DeAngelis. Barbara DeAngelis is an award-winning author and radio personality, but she was first and foremost a personal workshop president, guru, however you want to put. She created an environment to help people get out of their shackles and their compartments, right?
And we actually both had, in our hours and hours of phone conversations, which we were about an hour distance from each other, so we couldn't actually meet.
But you also went to a bar.
I went to
So
a
talk
bar
about that.
lecture. I had gone to a lecture, and I also listened to her talk radio. So we had a lot in common. Obviously, we had meshed in that vibrational space and time, space, and energy because we had read the same books. We had listened to the same, not then podcasts, but radio hosts, etc. So I knew, and I think he knew, this is a vibrational match. This is a person who is seeking to improve themselves in many different ways, emotional, spiritual, physical, etc.
Yeah, I think there was definitely a comfort zone from your end when you found out that I had come from the Barbara DeAngelis program. I think there was a part of you that was validated in the sense, okay, this guy's different than everybody else.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I knew I was different. This is why I did all the things that I did to find the love of my life, the ultimate relationship, because it was very clear to me that I wasn't going to be the best that I can be without having this type of dynamic in my life. And I can't describe it in sense of, well, how did I arrive to that point? I think when you start to do work on yourself, especially if you have a crucial moment that changes you so dramatically that you become spiritually aligned and cleansed, and now all of a sudden you're almost like a newborn baby to accept love in a total different open way than the way previous. These things are refinement of self. So I don't think without that the universe, God,
we wouldn't have
whoever the
been together.
powers may be, would have granted this relationship.
Yeah, you would have been the next coffee date.
Well, not only that, I just don't think that would have been put together because the thing is, she doesn't put this energy out just so she would have a failure in this relationship. And I would have been the failure because I would not have been prepared. So I would have failed the situation, and that's very easier said than done. But being in a relationship, and I know first 2 years was extremely hard for me, just due to the fact that because I was from such of a long period of time of controlling self. And that means self-sufficient, self-functioning,
Yes, and a only child, et cetera, and so forth. And we can talk about that on another episode because we're kind of running out of time here.
No, we're just going to keep running.
Okay. because no, I forgot my. You can
That's all right.
cut this part out. What were you saying right before that?
Well, I was saying in regards to just the refinement of myself to prepare myself for this type of relationship. I was dating, and let's say if I was introduced to personal app dating and so forth, which I did do that even prior to the rebirthing of self. And the kind of dates I had was, with good-looking people that was too busy to go out and meet. Meaning that they didn't want to date anybody within their social circle or their work circle or their,
Right.
religious.
People. That's where I was at. Who has time?
Right.
I'm doing a
So
corporate job and
personal
taking care of kids.
ads. I think there was many dating services. I forgot what the one very popular one, but I remember contacting them. They came back with like $1,500, right, to join this thing. And I thought to myself, you got to be kidding me. I'm a schmo that's working in a union job, busting my hump to make a living. And to find true love, I got to pony up $1,500. That immediately made me go, well, she better be worth it then if I do that. That's my first thought.
But you were talking before about the transformation from Barbara DeAngelis and how you wouldn't have been, probably ready and met me had you not gone through that. I don't know how you digress back to.
Well, I was just talking about the process of, it's absolutely true, because without that spiritual alignment, and I'm going to get a little esoteric here to recognize that the magnetism, the energy level, the vibration. For those of you who's just thinking, oh, what, this is just woo-woo and sounding like, it's not.
It's not woo-woo anymore, guys.
Yeah, go look up Dr. Emoto's work from even
Dr. Emoto,
25 years ago,
Joe
at least.
Dispenza. Yeah, Emoto.
I mean, it's documented that frequency of our emotions, especially words.
Our thoughts.
Yeah, if I say something very abrasive, you can actually see the energy and the water crystals that he has documented.
These are thoughts. In fact, this needs to be integrated into thought. When the mind changes its mind.
Sure.
Because he did very simple tests, glass of water, where it was thoughts were infused to the water. I love you, sending love, loving thoughts. And when they had these high-powered microscopes, it formed beautiful crystals, beautiful water crystals.
Yeah.
Same, another glass of water, they put negative thoughts,
Yeah.
Negative energy, I hate you, really bad negative thoughts to this water. And underneath the microscope, all nothing pretty, nothing symmetrical.
Disjointed.
And that's just from thoughts.
Yeah.
That's just from
intentions.
Thoughts are energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bless the water that we drink every day when I put it into, from distiller to the reservoir and everything, because I saw that this is so important. We're so much water liquid.
75, 80%?
Oh, at least
water.
90,
Yeah.
isn't it? Anyway, the whole point is it's just a whole lot. If not, I'll just be like beef turkey. We don't want to do that, right? So the key thing is that we have to be attentive. And that's something that I think with Barbara DeAngelis rebirthing really woke that up. The key factor of, what am I paying attention to? What are things that I need to work on myself? And those are things that, I talked about in the other podcast with Josh, that about the refinement of, going to bookstores and reading and learning new things and so forth. That's why I think by the time that when Kat and I met, it was ready for us to then take it to a level of building. Like I said, it wasn't easy. The first year and 2 years of the relationship was still crawling and fighting, trying not to go back to old ways.
So that's what I wanted to interject on the first in any really relationship. I call it the getting to know you period. And that's really what I would say the first year for me was the most pronounced, because that's where you're testing the boundaries. Oh, you're pushing a little here, you're pushing a little there. And I think each one of you is testing to see, are you here for the long haul? I know we had a couple situations that, yeah, I'm here for the long haul. Don't you remember?
Yeah,
there's no quits here.
That's right. That's the definitive really key is that if you're ready for a relationship that's going to be really thriving to the greatest of the great love, of our lives, it has to be that commitment, you know,
Yeah.
to death
It's
do
a
us part.
decision.
And we're doing part.
You know, I think it's, you know, it's romantic to think, oh, I fell in love. You know, people say, oh, I fell in love. And really, I think what's more accurate is you decide to fall in love, or you decide to be in love, or you decide to love someone.
To feed it.
It's a decision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what we recognize is we had enough love now for ourselves.
Mm,
So recognize that first.
absolutely. And that's key that you mentioned that. That's key, because I can remember on some of the coffee dates thinking, I think there's too much of a gap, you know, there's too much of a hole in the other person. And I was not in a place, you know, chronologically aged, let alone spiritually, mentally, etc., to want to fix someone. I was ready, and I put it out into the universe. I'm ready for someone in wholeness to come to me in wholeness, and together we will be more than whole.
Yes.
Not complete me, you know, that's like,
Yeah, it's not about
yeah,
complete.
I'm not looking for someone to complete me, and I hope you're not looking. If you are looking for someone to complete you, then we're not a good fit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really within inside me, that's exactly what I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's not about completion of me. It's about me going to a new level.
Making each other better.
Yeah. That was definitely the greatness of this relationship, and the greatness of the relationship that we thought about. When we're doing right here, right now, together, is something that we actually discussed, not in the sense of, oh, we're going to be behind microphones and we're going to do this and we're going to talk to you. Yeah, it wasn't that at all. It was let's build a life together where we can be together, live and enjoy each other, and get the best part of each other. And by doing that, how can we craft a life this way? And that was hard. That wasn't like easy, because I had long hair, but you know, I wanted to.
You had long hair. What's that got to do?
Because I had to figure a strategy out for me in a great relationship. I knew that if I work in warehousing and building guitars like I was doing and things like that, my hair length didn't matter. But if I really wanted to kick it to next level, I needed to become a professional in some degree to be able to bring a quality of a lifestyle. What was that quality of lifestyle we talked about? Well, we wanted to have opportunity to go see things and go to different countries and travel and so forth. Well, that requires money, doesn't it? It wasn't like I can sit around building guitars for another company that I'm going to come home and go, oh, our nest egg is fantastic. It wasn't. Manufacturing jobs in America really is just not respected on the level that you can actually have opportunities to, let's say, I want to go to Barbados. Let me take off for weeks. Ask any blue collar guy, how many times can you pull that off? Very little. My dad, same guy, you know, blue collar. And I learned from watching this. So for us to have this commitment to say, okay, we want a great lifestyle together. We want to travel. We want to see things. We want to do things together. And that was a commitment. So my aspect of it is that how I did it is I created a strategy to mirror what she was great at and see if I can feed off it, because I want to be around her. Two is I want to understand her better and not make me better. And then when she make me better is I take the best of things that I see from her. Like for instance, top salesperson at every company she's ever been with is mind blowing. Just how well she can communicate with other people. And her communicate skills, her likabilities and those type of things that I was probably not even close in the ballpark. It's not saying that, oh, now I'm just as likable as her. No, but I have a level of confidence that I've done enough road work that I know I'm in the fight somehow. And that's the key thing. I did my hair, followed her into the real estate business, into the sales professional realms, and did all kind of things. And ultimately, they created this. They created back to the circle of exactly what we're talking about. We've done all those hard work. We value each other in the time we have together. And this is why we don't work for someone else anymore, because we've done so much of that, accumulated so much experience, so much knowledge, and good wealth. I'm not going to complain, but at the same time, we weren't in control of our own destiny. And that's another key about finding the relationship, finding the person that matches you. Is their goal the same as you? But one of the things that I'll tell you that always blows me away on profiles is that I'm looking for a God-fearing man or God-fearing women. I see it more about men though. And that just kind of blows away that wow, you have to be fearing somebody for you to love me. That logistically didn't even resonate.
That's yeah, I've had conversations with my son about that, because it's, as Adam describes it, it's not, God wants you to fear him. It's no different than, well, do your children fear you to do what's right, to discipline them? So I think that's been taken out of context, and even for myself, that's just an odd way, to me, it would be more, a God loving, not God fearing.
Yes.
But that is in the Bible quite a bit, God fearing, and Adam described it to me that made sense. He said, think about discipline. When I discipline the kids, well, they need to fear me a little bit, fear me in a respectful way.
Okay.
Right. That you have. Okay, we're getting fuzzy.
That's all
I
right.
don't know what you did.
Did it come back? See?
Uh,
All to adjust.
now I lost my train of thought. Yeah.
God-fearing is where we were at.
That you respect, that you respect the omniscience and omnipotent of God. It's not the literal fear. Oh, fear. That's why I'm going to do the right thing. You respect and honor the omniscience and omnipotence of the all-powerful, almighty God.
Right. But you got to remember, I was ignorant of that.
I asked Adam, in my recent resurgence, of following Christ and being a Christian, was what I just can't relate to the fear. What's, and part of that's an ego thing. But the other part is that's not, fear is, false expectations about reality. That's what I've been taught, FEAR. And Adam explained it to me that way in terms of, using the metaphor of the kids. You want your children,
right?
They have to have somewhat of fear for you, that you are guiding them, and that you are, powerfully guiding them and leading them in their life. And that totally makes sense. Yeah, totally makes sense.
Well, that's a heck of a start for all of us, talking about building the profile. We deep dive into many different strategies and ideas, and I would like for Kat to end this with the butterfly effect.
So this came about in a resurgence on the meaning of the butterfly effect, and I want to share with you kind of a metaphor and a divine perspective of the butterfly effect. So they say a butterfly flapping its wings can shift the weather from across the world. But what if that flutter is divine design? In the realm of love and miracles, a quiet decision, a yes to your own worth, a moment of vulnerability, or a single swipe filled with what? Intention, can send ripples through time and space. You may not see the storm it prevents. You might not see the heart that it awakens or the healing that it initiates. But trust this, the universe takes notice
welcome back.
of small,
Miracles Online
sacred
podcast. Thank you for being
movements.
here. My name
Love's
is Jeff,
not
and
random.
this is
Kat?
It's
and we
orchestrated
are
by
your
threads that we
online
can't
dating
always see.
gurus to
So the
help
next
you
time
find
your heart
true
nudges
love
you
and
forward,
build a great
remember what feels
relationship.
small
So,
may
Online.
just be
well,
the beginning
what we're
of
going to do
something
today
miraculous. Or
is
it
that
may
we're
just
going
be
to cover some of the
your
key points that was
miracle
written in the
online.
book Miracles
never know.
Online, done
That's
by
right.
my lovely wife, Kat.
So I'll see you next time.
And
with
this
Jeff
first thing that we wanted to really
Kat.
talk
but
about
of course, this is my
is that
miracle.
what are the red
Right.
flags
God
that
every
you
day,
get
every moment.
on dating online? So things that jump out to you is there's first thing that comes to your mind, what would that be?
Me? Well, gee, dear, I haven't dated in 25 years. How the hell do I know?
That's
You
true.
know, I had to look at my book. Being, full disclosure here. Okay. However, humor is actually your best defense because there's going to be, kerfuffles, conundrums, and you really just want to have a sense of humor. It's got to be your trusty sidekick for real. But safety rules for digital love is pretty simple. And it really, in the book, we talk about 7 points that we give you. And we're going to touch briefly on each of them. We encourage you to pick up the book, Miracles Online, at Amazon, and at yayupublishing.com. That's YAYU publishing.com to get the complete details. But we're going to touch on them. Key, I believe, is to follow your gut. Really follow your gut. If something seems, not right, listen to your, what I call your inner wisdom or your inner knower. Listen to that. But I'm going to touch briefly. I'm going to start with number 1, and Jeff, we'll just go back and forth
Okay.
on this. Give your input as well. I know you, like myself, have not dated in over 25 years.
I haven't?
No, you better not. You're in big trouble if you have. So rule number 1, don't trust blindly. And, digital more than anything else, you really want to pay attention to that. But don't go, oh, I can't do online dating because, oh my gosh, it's just too scary, and you don't know, because there's ways. And again, as I've said many times, this little book is going to be your GPS, your guide, is going to guide you and navigate you through each turn to take to have a safe experience and the opportunity, because there's so much opportunity out there, just, a plethora of opportunity that you just simply would not have to your avail by someone you met at church or at the grocery store or, at work or at school or at the gym. It's just, life is really, it's a numbers game, and wow, the numbers are stacked in your favor to play this field.
Yes.
So, it's crucial that you need a telescope to see the bigger picture. And here are some safety rules. Okay. So don't trust blindly. Okay. Yeah. And that's easier, done today now, because you can do verification very easily. So, a sprinkle of caution goes a long way. And before we get to step number 2, which is critical, again, with each one of these steps, follow your inner wisdom. Don't be overly trusting or overly cautious. Have your heart open, have your sense of humor, but follow these steps. So you want to share a little bit about keeping your personal information personal, Jeff, which is number 2.
Yeah, personal information, what we're talking about. Number 1 is you don't need to advertise your income. That is one of the things that I think that most people tend to not paying attention to. By just because the questionnaire asks you doesn't mean you need to answer it. And the key thing is, why do income have anything to do with finding someone with the heart? It really doesn't.
Well, and I'm going to stop you right there, because some, when they sit down and do their negotiables and non-negotiables, they may need a minimum requirement for income. And so everybody's different
That's
for
right.
that. Now, yes, we believe don't limit yourself, because someone's income certainly doesn't mean and put a gauge on what their heart is and what the foundation of who they are and values. Personal information, as I've expressed in the book, is you don't want to, and believe it or not, I've guided people even before I wrote the book, personal family members, etc. Don't give your home address. Yeah, they're going to have your cell phone, today. Maybe they'll have your email, but don't give your home address. So that's, number 2, keep your personal information. definitely don't give your home address. We're going to, talk about that a little bit later. In terms of meeting, you always want to meet in a public place. And you may have heard me on other episodes talk about when I was researching for this book that I was on 3 different platforms, and I was really researching the different sites and had as many as 8, 9 coffee dates in a week. These don't need to be long. These are quick, or can be longer if you're clicking. They don't have to be quick, but non-committal, and in a public place. Number 3, you want to stay cyber savvy. Okay. So, it's kind of like learning the tango. It's awkward at first, but it'll get better as you're familiar with it. So a little digital defense can keep your heart and your online presence safe. Okay. So just, keep up with that in terms of if someone presents themselves, and that kind of runs into rule number 4, which is video verification, which we didn't have back when we were navigating online, because that was pre-Facebook, right? Pre cell phones with the FaceTime, et cetera.
It was before social media actually
It was before
existed.
social media. Yep.
Yeah, everything
Yep.
was either chat group, if you have that opportunity, or that's it, messenger, that
Right.
type of communication. So it was limiting. Today, you have much more volatility. That's why being careful, especially on the cyber aspect of it, is extremely important. And what we mean by that is, just making sure that you don't give away digital IDs that you don't need to be given away to, right? You don't need to tell people your schedule. In other words, I'm always here at this Starbucks every 8:30. You don't need to do
where
those
you
type of
work or
things.
where your office is.
Yeah.
All of that, I equate it to, turning over a deck of cards, one card at a time.
Yes.
And as you do that, you gain trust, or you go up 2 cards up. No, we're folding the deck.
Yeah.
We don't go forward. So you want to keep your sensitive information close to your chest, and not flipped up until you have that sense and that gut feeling that, okay, I can trust this part of it. So video verification, that's rule number 4, which we have today, that circumvents very quickly. I think I was very lucky in the research that I was doing. I think there was only one coffee date that the picture was, it was not, they didn't even have the word catfishing then. That's where you pretend like you're someone else completely. That wasn't even out there. But this was just, I call misrepresentation. And I only had one where the gentleman did not look a bit like the picture when I met him in person.
Wow.
Yeah, completely different, outdated, outweighted, just yeah. Different weighted, different looking. Yeah, all of that stuff. But today, video verification. So, it's like a virtual meet and greet. You've got that technology today.
Yep.
Do the video verification.
And of course, now you have the technology of Zoom, FaceTime. You can see somebody. So
right. Well, that's the video verification.
Right. And that
yeah.
exactly should solve this problem, this issue of getting catfished.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
and
take the due diligence and the time to do it.
Yes. And if someone does not want, agree to do that, then that's probably, again, look at your gut feeling, but that's probably a good sign that maybe they are attempting to catfish,
Yeah.
God bless, I won't say who it is, but a family member, and I know there's other young women there who are susceptible, vulnerable, and believe that, someone is Johnny Depp, or someone is interested in them who, and maybe they're just, an average young woman, and he's like some supermodel, these are all, not to scare people out there, but, that's where you use your good sense. And
Right.
That's where, again, you quickly, and this is what I've advised family members, you quickly get on a video verification or FaceTime verification, you'll find out if
That's right.
they're Johnny Depp or Mr. GQ model or what have you, if they're representing,
Yeah.
or are they just playing? You know?
And do your due diligence when you feel and see these type of red flags jumping out. And it's not in a hurry. You are on the other side of the computer, so you're protected at that point. And what you want to do is keep that protection there until you have all the facts. For instance, like Kat just mentioned, a model. Okay, well, all of a sudden you look at this guy's profile and looks great. He's good looking. He's got all these, so-called apparels, type of professional shoot. So what do you do then? You're attracted. So you're going to immediately jump on that emotional roller coaster and start down to that path? No, take a second. Go and look at, okay, if he's a model, what kind of model is he? Is he actually with an agency? You can do all these things just on Google.
Just on Google. Yeah, absolutely. Just on Google. And if the breadcrumbs lead to not
Yeah.
model,
Right.
oh, he buys clothes at Walmart. He's not a model for Macy's, whatever. Then there's that red flag, and
Yeah.
okay, time to pass.
Take the extra moment, the extra minute, and do that research. It's worth it. Don't get enamored just from a picture. Remember, it's a picture. Everybody can manipulate JPEGs. We already know that now, especially with the advent of artificial intelligence and ChatGPT. Today, we're seeing so much more of polished, filtered, those type of photos. And when
Of course, and it can be a plethora of filtered, and that's why we recommend, and I recommend in the book, that you present yourself authentically. And, not saying you don't soften, maybe you soften a little the edges with a filter, but not over filtered and unnatural. Because again, that's not going to present the most authentic self, which means you're not going to attract your best match. And so if that's what you're looking for, and this book is about finding true and lasting love in a digital world, not finding a hookup, not finding a date for the night. There's other books I'm sure out there that can help you figure that out. But what we want to help you navigate is to use this amazing platform that has so much opportunity. There's so many genuine people out there, so many potential miracles online. I found mine. You can find yours too. And we want to help you do that. So,
well, let me just also add from a guy's point of view. If I'm looking at a photo and I notice everything is polished and there's, let's say a little bit more risque of bikini shots and so forth. I mean, what impression am I getting from that? Number one, am I going to trust that? This person works as a model, or this person just window dressed the shop so I can walk in, so to speak. These are key points for you to make that decision of, is it a red flag? Because it is so easy to be fooled just from the photos. Now, really dive into now the red flags of things they would say. If they're bringing things as saying, I come from a large family, I don't talk to my mother anymore because we have a fallout. Well, is that a red flag for you? For me, it is, because all of a sudden it's like, okay, you're airing laundry in your profile. Why is that? And on top of that, you don't get along with your family. So how does that kind of explain to me who are you and why there's such a disconnect?
And I just want to make a clarification on, not that couldn't be the case, okay, for valid reasons that you have a falling out with family, because families are in varying degrees dysfunctional. Jeff's heard me say that many times. But I think the point is, and there's another area in the book that I talk about it, that you don't want to have a profile or respond to a profile where they lead with negativity, with what they don't want. I don't want this. I don't want that. Or I am tired of this and I am sick of this.
Yeah.
Negative, negative, negative.
What about the other side? When the person goes, I want a 6-figure income guy that works out, that has chisel abs I mean, that's being very specific of someone who's wanting that.
Yep.
But again,
and that's okay. And guess what they'll get? They'll probably get a very shallow, misogynistic guy who's in love with his body, who would love to be have his chiseledness and his self-love appreciated. That's just my opinion. So
that's right. But
yeah.
at the same time, what about that sensitive guy who works out just because he has a great, genes from his parents? He looks great with shirt or without shirt.
Yes, but
right?
he's not leading with that. He's not leading with that. And if he is not the shallow pretentiousness that the guy that you just described, that I'm chiseled, or the
well, no,
the
I was
girl,
explaining
saying
that
the girl
was
who's
looking for that.
Oh, looking for
Yeah.
that. Okay.
I just want the guy who can take care of me. I've seen that on profile quite a bit. And is that a red flag for me? Of course. All of a sudden, it's a one-sided hunt, if you will, for this relationship. She's looking for someone who's going to be a caretaker. She's looking for a boy toy, if you will, the good looking, the great body and all that. Okay, where's the heart? Nobody's ever mentioning the heart. So, this profile that comes out, the things that you're looking for, that red flag, sometimes is the things that they omit in their profile. So you got to know what you want. That's always the key, right?
Yep.
So with that, what's the third one point?
So rule number 5 is if you to report and block. Okay, if you encounter any suspicious behavior, harassment, threats online, and this is not to scare you, because I never did. I haven't really talked. I've talked to a lot of people about online dating, and I haven't heard of anyone, but it can happen. Okay, so you want to report it to the platform administration.
That's right.
and block them. And this is what I tell my family member, like, okay, he's done that. You need to block him. You
That's
need to
right.
go off the app, that particular app, and then you need to block him, okay, or her, because your safety is always top priority.
That's right.
Rule number 6: share with a trusted friend. Now, they've got actually apps out now. When I was doing real estate, I had that on my phone where, you could hit a button, because you're showing properties to strange people, sometimes meeting them out at a property, a single man you've never met out at an empty property.
That's
okay.
Right.
You've got to be careful and be safe. So there was an app, I'm sure there still is, where you could just press one number if you felt unsafe, and it calls all, your emergency call, so on and so forth. But you want to share with a family member or friend, share the details like location, time, the time of your meeting, etc. It's just an extra layer of protection. And of course, like I mentioned, always meet in a public place. Don't, no matter how sweet he or she is, and that goes for both sides, guys as well as girls, you want to meet in a public place. Do not give your home address.
That's right.
So important. And
I don't care how great that date is. Don't wrap that date up by going, you want to come back to my place.
No.
Here's the truth behind finding true love is that even though you may be enthusiastic and excited that this might be the one, you can't open that up immediately. You still have to do more due diligence and learn and earn that trust, as well as the other person earn your trust.
Trust over time.
Yeah.
It takes trust over time.
So that's important about safety. It really is, because we sometimes, I think, some longing for love or the void, right? Not having a relationship. So you're pouring your heart out every first opportunity you see and you get. And sometimes that's smothering. Sometimes that is just overbearing. But oftentimes it's a disappointment because the energy is not matched up, or the information, the trust, the synergistic, none of that exists yet. So you want to keep that in mind. But one of the key factors about that, the red flag and having the safety follow up, the friends and family, to always keep in mind at the end of that date, contact your person and let them know how it went. So you have a witness and a document that you're still okay, you're communicating after the date. And sometimes you run 3-4 dates at a time, right?
In one day?
Yeah, I've seen
Oh,
and
well,
talked to
I've had a couple
other
couple
people
days, yeah.
that has had, well, I gotta go, and they didn't go anywhere. They simply waited for their another date.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I ever double dated in the same coffee house, but
Right. Well, again, what's funny is that some people view this as, let me get as much as I can and see what's going on because my schedule is tight. Whatever the reason may be, that's really the key that however it serves. Online dating has opened up such an opportunity because of the sheer volume of the profiles and the personalities that you may be able to select from, but it is the luxury of the place you get to choose, the time you get to choose, and how often, those type of things.
yes. And interesting, I don't know what, I think it's in the beginning of the book. I'm not sure what chapter, but interestingly enough, when I was researching some statistics for my book, real time, when the book came out a year and a half ago, the dating range, online dating range of I think it's over 50 is the fastest growing segment is over.
Well, is that
50.
surprising to you?
Well, actually it isn't, unfortunately, because of the statistics on divorce.
Yep.
Over 50%. So, and then the biggest segment of the population being baby boomers. So you put those together, and no, it's not surprising. Now, 25 years ago, it was no matter what age, we were pioneers. We were groundbreaking. It's like,
that's right.
What you found and met your husband online?
Yeah.
Dating? Wow.
Personal ads and online dating, those type of things were seen to be desperate for love or desperate to have a relationship. Folks felt that it was just a paradigm, really, that, friends introduce friends or coworkers or someone from church.
Yeah.
And it was even more acceptable to meet someone at a bar than it is to go online dating, which makes absolutely no sense.
So what happens when you stop drinking?
That's right. The beer goggles comes off and you kind of went, oh, hello. But the key factor that I always found that online dating allows you to be selective. And that's the key.
Absolutely.
Because if you view yourself in a high place and you've worked on yourself diligently to create this great relationship within your inner and outer self, and you're ready for this great relationship, you're bringing a lot to the table. Don't ever shortchange yourself because of all this great work you've done for yourself.
Absolutely. That's such a good point, Jeff. Yeah, that it really, it's so not for the desperate person. It is for the discerning person who values their life, values, it's one of the probably the most important decision that we will make in our lives is who we spend our time with. That's and right. Choose to be our significant other. Yep. So wow, wouldn't you put a little more effort into it, or at least as much effort as you do as maintaining
I would say
oil
logically
change on your car?
Yeah, you would put all your effort to it.
All your effort. So I love and that's what, like the selectivity that you brought up. And that's what I was working in corporate 100, corporation, virtual, single mom, and the efficiency. I thought, wow, not only is this open up the numbers like floodgates up to the potentiality, but I can now be particular, and I don't have to waste 5-6 dates or more, because when you're going through the traditional way, you don't want to come off as you're grilling, right? It's not 23 questions or whatever and grilling them, but you really have license to do that just through the selection process for online dating. Well, this is important. I want this. I don't want this. And you can actually select and be selective, as you mentioned, Jeff, to rule out the absolute, negotiables and non-negotiables. Then there's, as we've discussed before, there's that thing that you can't check off a box for. You can get an inkling of chemistry from a little bit from the profile, but, basically, and that, but that can just have a lot to do with how much they can articulate. Maybe they're great writers and great articulators, but in person, and that's why I always say go to the phone call next
Yeah.
and or video call very quickly, because now you're going to get a much fuller energetic feel for that compatibility and for that chemistry. Is
That's right.
there a chemistry or a potentiality for chemistry between these two individuals? So yeah, I really think that's key. It's just a huge playground, if you will, to be able to be selective
Yeah.
on that just so important
And
decision.
especially with today's technology, with
Oh, yeah.
AI, ChatGPT, Grok, all able to help you write your profile, you want to be attentive to really what you're putting out there, because you don't want to come across synthetic. You don't want to come across like somebody's word is describing you. So we have created, I want to make sure that you know that we have this available for you. This is the top 5 profile tips for women and men dating online. This is going to be a PDF provided for you to download. It's free of charge over at Yahoo Publishing, YAYUpublishing.com. Under the free samples, if you hit that, you see free chapters of books that we have through Yahoo Publishing, as well as any kind of downloadable things, like one sheets and workbooks and such. And it's important for you to go take action. I can't stress enough that we can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you're not willing to do and execute, take action, nothing happens. It just is a thought.
Absolutely.
And then what happens to that thought? Then you're going to regret to opportunity missed.
Missed opportunity.
Right.
Missed miracle.
Right. So we don't want to so-called procrastinate when we're doing things such as, okay, I'm preparing myself. I'm ready for this relationship. I've worked on myself for a long time now, and I'm ready. And you know this innately. And that's the beauty part of it. Okay, then let's start to craft with that. So the one sheet for that top 5 tips is going to help you tremendously. Of course, the book, I can't say enough. As Kat always described it, this is the GPS of online dating. For anyone who has dabbled in online dating and not have success, this is a great book for you. For anyone who's looking for love and want to try it, this is absolutely the best book for you. And with that, let's talk about, do you have a story before we do this?
Before we do what?
The butterfly effect.
Yes, I have a story before that.
Okay.
So we're going to try to share with each episode, as they come in, basically a story and or a testimonial. So you can hear other folks and how they've experienced and used some of the information in the book, and it might resonate with you or give you ideas on how it might work for you. So they address this one.
Okay.
Hi, Kat and Jeff. And it's a, listener letter from Daniel, who's 42, from Austin, Texas, not too far from us. So Daniel says, I just had to write in after hearing the quote on your podcast, "Love wants you as much as you want love." That one line broke me open. And it's so true. Yeah. Love does want you as much as you want love. He says, I'm a 42-year-old divorced dad who's been off and on dating apps for the past few years. Honestly, I was just going through the motions. I felt like I had to become this ideal version of myself to attract someone, posting pictures from my fitter days, using clever one-liners, avoiding anything too real. I thought vulnerability was a turnoff. Quite the opposite, right?
Yeah.
Then someone gifted me your book, Miracles Online. I read it with zero expectations, but chapter 4 hit me in the gut. The part where you talk about how people fall in love with the truth, not the polish. I remember you wrote something like, people are starving for real, and real is rare online. That line haunted me in the best way. So I did something wild. I deleted my old profile and created a new one. This time I included a picture of me hiking with my daughter. I mentioned how I once cried watching a Pixar movie. I didn't filter or finesse. I just showed up. Good for you.
Yes.
Daniel. Within a week, here's the good news. I matched with someone who said, your profile made me feel safe. Isn't that wonderful? I mean, people want, and we're not talking about that oversharing vulnerability. That gets like a little creepy. But what he mentioned, what Daniel mentioned was just, he was just being real.
Yeah.
Dipping his toe into being real and showing his vulnerability. So he says, within a week, I matched with someone who said, your profile made me feel safe. We've been talking for a month, and whether it goes long term or not, I feel safe for the first time in a long time, just being me. Thank you for helping me. I'm find not just love, but the courage to stop hiding.
There you go.
Gratefully, Daniel.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. See, that's so important in regards to opening your heart. And you never know how it comes and who comes and when it comes. I'm sitting there looking through all these profiles and I see Kat's. And finally, when I clicked on it, I read the most beautiful profile. I just couldn't believe what was, shared in regards to the love of the heart, and time is right now after I've, put priority in front of my kids, and all these little things that just start resonating. I was like, incredible.
And that was hard for me too. I look back and I go, gosh, I did kind of peek the veil of vulnerability because I wanted to be real and I wanted to attract someone who was real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm ready to give my heart to that special someone. That's really that key. And I remember thinking to myself, I just have to write something back to let her know that she's greatly appreciated and I wish her all the best. Now, and it was funny is that was really my intention. There was something in the back of me. It was like, I'm not deserving of this heart. That's incredible what she wrote. And I can't be the one. And what's funny is I remember distinctly that reply wasn't thank you so much. It was thank you. Who are you?
That's what I said?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was thank you. Who are you? And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm so-and-so and ... And that turned into a couple of emails and message. And then, hey, how about we talk on Sunday night? And I was getting over a real bad cold. So everything was like real nasally for me. But I remember mustering through that Sunday night conversation after 6 hours, just walking away thinking, holy moly.
Did we talk for 6 hours the
first day? Yeah.
Wow.
So it was 6-7 hours for the next 6 days.
Wow.
Right. So for me, I remember getting off the phone like 3 o'clock in the morning, just sitting there kind of dumbfounded in a way, thinking, how did I get here? This is incredible. But at the same time, I was so excited because I asked for this. I wanted this.
Yeah, so did I.
Right. So
but I'm ready.
That aspect of it, everything was so fulfilling at that point. That's why it's like, okay, can we recreate this dynamic, this feeling, this magic the next day when we were on the phone? And I was looking forward to it all day, sitting there with my office. I was a webmaster. I was sitting there typing away codes and all that. And all I can think is drink my coffee so I can stay up and talk to Kat. Right.
Because I was going to massage school at that time. Remember, I'd get off
at
10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm telling you, that be open, understand how important your profile really is, because you never know how it actually end up working. And that's the key of it.
And follow your instinct.
Yes.
And listen to it. And that's perfect segue into what we'd like to close with, the butterfly effect, a divine perspective.
Yeah.
Many of you may have heard, which I've heard, decades ago, and I revisited like butterfly effect. So this is a little compilation, a divine perspective of the butterfly effect. They say a butterfly flapping its wings can shift the weather across the world. But what if that flutter is divine design? In the realm of love and miracles, a quiet decision, a yes to your own worth, a yes to a profile, a moment of vulnerability, or a single swipe filled with intention can send ripples through time and space. You may not see the storm it prevents, the heart it awakens, or the healing it initiates, but trust this. The universe takes notice of small, sacred movements. Love is not random. It's orchestrated by threads that we can't always see. So the next time your heart nudges you forward to take action, to do something, to respond. Remember, what feels small may be, just may be, the beginning of something miraculous, possibly the beginning of your miracle online.
Yeah, absolutely. So with an open heart, with love and open mind, find yours with full blessing, with love, like I found mine. Thank you. And we'll see you at the next Miracles Online podcast.
Bye.
And with my love.
Moments. And
Okay. Here we go on 3, 2, 1. Hi, welcome back to Miracles Online podcast. I am Jeff, and this is
I'm Kat.
yeah. Then we do this relationship podcast. Came from the book Miracles Online that Kat wrote, and it's available on Yahoo Publishing. So right now, before we start this episode, I would like for you to give a thumbs up, like and subscribe us, and visit us at our Yahoo websites or at catrolinos.com or 365method.com.
Tralanos.
She's sounding Tralanos. So we're going to pick up from where we were at on the previous episodes, and we were doing how to complete your online profiles and how to attract the right type of partner. And the next, I think, important topic is how do you have great conversation starters? So, Kat, why don't you give us some insights in regards to great conversation starters on dating app and first time meeting?
I'm happy to do that. And so, yeah, this can be early on. If you start off with just very superficial conversation, about the weather or what are you doing, going to the movies this weekend or, this and that, just superficial conversation, that's where you'll stay. So, of course, there has to be a comfort level. You're not going to jump right in, but I'm going to give you several samples here of some really good conversation starters. And I think you'll really see the impact once I read to you a letter from a reader who read the book not once but twice, and what a difference the conversation starters made to her. So one is, if you could relive any moment from the past year, what would it be and why? So, this is encouraging reflection and meaningful conversation, right?
Yes.
I mean, Jeff and I talked about this one before. I would really have to think about that. It would really, make you think about it, but it would reveal what your match values and what they cherish, right? Because you're taking the last year, like what would I want to relive? So it could be very, very telling. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
With that?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Because you're digging deeper. You're now start to get into the personality of the other person.
Really, really telling for them to reflect on that.
Sure.
So
sure.
here's another one. What's something that recently made you feel truly grateful? A grateful heart is so, so important. As we work on expanding and up-leveling our energy and our vibration, one of the main things that Jeff and I both try to stay connected to is being thankful.
Yes.
No matter what's going on, no matter, how upside down things are, or, it could just be like, oh man, life is shit today. There is way more things to be grateful for. When you wake up in the morning, the breath that you breathe, the air that you breathe. So, this really reveals how positive that person is, right? It sets a warm and appreciative tone for the conversation.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
For you to have a conversation about that, like what you're thankful for.
Yeah.
And, if someone touts back, again, whether it's on the phone or in a text, oh, well, really not much. Life is really kind of shitty. Well, you kind of know they're probably a negative Nelly. Yeah. Maybe you're not on the right vibrational match, or they could be just having a bad day. But, I think I would question that governor for them in a new match to come off negative like that, I would really question that.
Mhm.
For me, that would be okay. Put that, close the deck. Next,
Right.
please.
I believe one of the things that, and often is used as an open-end question in regards to tell me about yourself. And that just kind of, very surfacey,
Yes.
very generalized, and you don't really quite get still the gist of it most of the time once they finish giving you the generalization of who they are.
Yep.
So always go a little bit more specific. I distinctively remember asking Kat, what kind of student were you in high school? Because I always remember that a long time ago, somebody taught us that if there were a telltale sign, I guess, on how someone is when they grew up is what did they behave and what did they
Are you talking grade school, high school,
high
junior
school?
high?
No, high school.
And
The 4 years
did
of high school.
what did I tell you?
Well, what I learned from her
I love
high school, she
drama.
was she talked about her drama, about, she came out of her shell after she got involved in doing speech performance drama.
Well, that was in junior high, and then I
Right.
was the star of the senior class.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, it opened up a creative, artistic side of her that she was very happy to talk about her tenureship in the church, doing plays with church, director of that. And also all her hardship as a child, going to school with no lunch money. I was really blown away. And of course, that opens up a different story. In that story, I kind of pursued a little bit. Oh, well, how come you had to deal with, hardship financial? And how did you deal with, and as she started to go down her path of telling her hardships, I was just marveled that she would share these things with me. But at the same time, it's because she shared it with me, I knew she was special. This was somebody that was willing to trust me.
Now, full disclosure, this wasn't the first couple of texts or phone calls. We did marathon. Once we connected, we did 6-7 hours on the phone, right?
But that's the first week, though.
That was the first week,
Yeah.
but we're talking in depth. I was going to massage school, Southern California School for Massage. I would get off at 10 o'clock at night, get home about 10:30. We'd get
Right.
on the phone and talk till the wee hours of the
That's right.
morning.
And I
Yeah.
would have to get up and go to work, and
Yeah,
I would
I
drink
didn't, but-
pots and pots of coffee. But it was worth it because I knew that there was the dedication, that she had the stamina to stay up and have that kind of conversation. I had the stamina. We were both interested. That shows that we
Yes.
were on the similar
We're very
vibration
connected. Yeah.
level.
Yes.
And by having these in-depth conversations, it was challenging to someone you didn't know. But as you start to break those walls down, those challenges disappeared, and a bond start to form, a relationship start to grow.
Yep.
Just keep in mind, remember, we met online. We had a conversation.
1998.
Yeah, we had a conversation the following Sunday, talked all the way through the week, every day for 6 to 7 hours. And then the following Friday, we had our first date.
No, it was almost a month before we met.
No, it was
person.
like third week, Friday.
Okay, third week.
Third
Yeah,
week, Friday.
Third week. Okay.
Yeah, I asked her to go see Kiss on Halloween, Kiss Dodger Stadium, 1998, but she was doing her massage school, so she didn't go.
Oh,
that
that's
would
right.
have been the first time I met her if we would have done that. But
Wow.
instead, we had to wait the week after that, and then
I'm kind of glad.
yeah, so that was first week of November, and then 3 weeks later we were married. That's how quick it was. But it was everything. It wasn't just, I had a feeling, because we did have these inquisitive questions.
I don't say interrogated. We had in-depth, heartfelt conversations and true connections.
Yes.
So we say all this to say, and everyone is different, that, and not to say that you should in 4 weeks, marry someone. We were mature. We were both mature.
I was in my
I was
30s.
a little bit more mature than he. I was in my 40s.
Yep.
So we had life experience. I was blown away by him. I wasn't looking for someone who was younger, because typically I had dated men who were older, which proved me wrong in terms of maturity, because at his age, he just had a level of maturity, emotional maturity, that I hadn't seen in, I don't care what age. So there was a true connection. So
Mhm.
don't put up, well, they have to be, because God will say, yeah, no, no, I got something else in mind for you.
Right. And by asking the right questions, it definitely allows the other person to answer genuinely.
Yes.
If you start to, having a specific boundaries and those type of guidelines as questions, then you're going to get maybe a yes or a no. And that's not really what you're looking for. You're wanting to know that genuinely that person. And this is one of the key factors I really believe in relationship. That is that it's not just that you need to have somebody to do 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. You need to find out what that person really is about the 1, 2, 3, A, B, C on their own terms. And then what are you bringing to the table? That's how the friendship, the partnership, and the relationship and the marriage works. You can't go, I have to have everybody fit in my mold. And if it doesn't fit in my mold, well, then you're not the one. If you think that way, chances of your mold getting filled is this, and chances of happiness is even smaller.
Yeah, because then it's one way. It's a connection.
Exactly.
Are you on the same level?
Yeah.
And if you are looking all one way, you're not on the same level.
That's right.
You're
That's
expecting more than what you are giving.
Yes.
So you have to show up.
Yeah.
You have to show up 100% plus. And if you're both showing up at 100% plus, wow, you're more together than you were separate.
No
right?
question.
You're not coming, oh, I'm coming 80 and I'm looking him to, he's got to fill up the rest, and vice versa. And then there's a deficit. The math doesn't work on that. Come whole. And that's where working on yourself, really doing the introspect and the profile and looking at really, the depth of who you are. What are your values? What's really important? What do you absolutely have to have in a relationship? And what just would be nice?
That's right.
Because the would be nice, sometimes people put that on the priority that's number one, and that's superficial typically.
Yeah.
The would be nice is superficial because it really doesn't have anything to do with your values.
That's
what's
right.
really important to you, intrinsically.
And people can be nice just by pretending to be nice.
Yep.
Nice is a surface.
Yep.
But good-hearted's within.
Yep.
That's a huge.
And so, we're sharing some questions from the book that will hopefully get some deeper, more genuine connection early on. So here's another one. What's a personal goal that you're currently working towards? Jeff?
Yeah.
That's very telling as well, because it's going to provide insight into your match's passions, their drive.
That's right.
And again, it's going to foster a deeper connection.
Yeah. Yeah. If she asked me that question and my answer would be, I'm working on my crossover so I can dribble left-handed, she may just look at me and go, if that's your most important thing, maybe we're not a good fit. But, again, you have to ask the right questions, right? This is one of the things we've learned also in our professional lives. If you don't ask the right questions, you will never develop a bond or a relationship and even know how to take care of your clients.
Yeah. It's really knowing being curious and knowing the right questions to answer. So number 4, here's one. Hey, how do you typically spend a relaxing weekend, Jeff? Now, this is going to open up. It's more kind of a casual. It's going to tell you, are you a match in terms of unwinding? Do you have any shared interest?
Right.
Now, if it's something you have no interest in at all, I mean, that's okay too. I wouldn't say that's a put the cards down, you're done, because we've found through the years, I've become interested in things that I wasn't before because of him, and he's become interested in things from me that he wasn't before. And gosh, isn't that the beauty? We're all not identical.
That's right.
Cubes, clones. Yep. We all have different interests and so forth. But you do want to obviously, glean through the conversation that what they do in their leisure time, that there's some semblance there of compatibility.
Yeah.
Right.
And I will share a story with our audience here. When we first got married, I was still very much into spectator sports, watching TV on Sundays for football and basketball and things of that nature. I don't do that now because I just, moved away from that. But one of the key factors is that she was willing to negotiate, even though she has no interest in spectator sports like NFL, NBA, or anything like that. But she was willing to say, okay, let's work out a deal. You're not going to camp out on the couch all day Sunday and Monday. That's not life. But how about when the Dallas Cowboys play? That's your favorite team. And she basically understood that if I get that, then I'm okay. Then I thought to myself, okay, great, because Dallas Cowboys was on the TV every weekend, right? It was one of those type of popularities. Same thing with Los Angeles Lakers. But
Which I learned to like basketball.
yeah, and I'll tell you how I got her to accept that is that when we start to watch Lakers basketball on TV, I would get out the lotion and start rubbing her feet.
Foot rub.
Foot rub.
It's all about negotiation.
Yeah.
It was a win-win. I kind of missed it when we stopped getting that channel and he stopped watching it because my foot rubs. I
She
didn't get
no
the
longer
foot
get
rubs
foot rub
anymore.
when the teams are no longer competitive.
I'm like, what? No more foot
No, but
rubs.
we moved on and grew. That's why
Of
we also
course.
have grandkids.
That's right. That's right. And I have an adult
Yeah.
daughter who gives a mean.
But it just goes to
That's all.
show you how things can grow from that. And to ask the questions and to get other people's response and understand what their interests and their passion in. Don't be judgy about, just because they're this and I'm not that, and it's not going to work. We're a perfect example.
Yin and the yang.
You're not into my stuff. I'm not really into that stuff, but I'm into you. Are you into me? Because if that's the case, we'll figure it out.
And that is key. And I want to tell you, and I don't want to sound egotistical, because it's not coming from ego. It's coming from knowing thyself. And when I was doing my research, if you've heard other episodes, you know that I was doing like 9 coffee dates in 1 week, researching for this book before we had met.
Right.
Because I was just blown away by this medium and by the opportunities and the quality people out there that would take me lifetimes to meet. So I'm like, okay, I'm going on speed dating. I'm finding out. I was on several different sites. I was learning all the nuances and making comparisons, et cetera, and so forth. That analytical, conscientious part of my personality. And so I lost my train of thought. I'm gonna have to cut that out.
No, we're not cutting anything out.
No, okay. So what were we talking about?
We're talking about relationships, and you are going down the road of discussing, doing things together. But the key factor really comes down to is just you got to give the other person the opportunity, and that's really a huge key of it. Let them talk about their.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I have to remember it now. So sorry, sweetie. Okay. So because you talked about time, you said, I'm not into her stuff, but I'm into you.
Yeah.
And that really made me think, I forgot for a minute, brain fart, but it made me remember that in those coffee dates, there was a couple gentlemen who were very nice, very well off financially, and very workaholics. And so although I would have been provided for, I could shop all day and have massages and play tennis and whatever and not have to work, I really, really was hesitant because I knew myself enough to know that I need someone who's into me. I need attentiveness. I need to feel connected and not someone who's married to their job. Basically.
That's right.
Who's making, whatever plus high 6 figures, but is married to their job. That's kind of lonely. And I knew at that point in my life, that's not what I wanted to sign up for. That's not what I needed. That was, it was eye-opening, when I put it on paper for the negotiables and the non-negotiables. Money wasn't something that they had to have, but time for me, dedicated to me, into me, not maybe the like he said, like the sports or the different things, but that's where again I learned to like different kinds of music that I wasn't exposed to before because of you.
Right.
What can you name some things that you were exposed that you weren't before we got together?
Oh, no question. I would say number one, the things I was exposed to is the level of organization.
Really?
Yeah, I see how she organized her thoughts, her work days, her family life. And I had really didn't have any training whatsoever in that direction. So this was my first witness of that, where she has been in corporate America. She has had to learn this type of lifestyle, this type of design. And two is she's a mother.
A single mother of 3 kids.
And I was
Learn how to
a bachelor that never had kids.
Yeah.
So I was inherited now into a family with kids. And the only kid was at home was the youngest,
Yeah.
who just turned 16. And he was a great kid, smart kid, but a kid that knew how to get away with stuff, because he just know that he's good at things and he can get away with it.
Well, he was
Smart kid.
He was
right?
my baby boy.
Yeah.
And, you know, in retrospect, you look back, anybody who's a single mom out there might be able to relate that, you know, sometimes you try to be your kid's best friend, and that doesn't work.
Right.
You know, you can't be their friend and their parent, especially when there's not a male disciplinary in the picture.
That's right.
With a 16-year-old boy.
That's
so, so yeah, that's another episode we can do on that whole thing, because, you know, I really think it was divine timing. I know it was divine timing.
Yep.
That when I was ready to open up my heart and say, okay, my kids are old enough, I can look into, you know, maybe finding a personal.
As a matter of fact, that was in our
relationship.
conversation the first week. You know, why now? And she's expressed she felt that she has dedicated her life enough where the 2 of the kids are out of the house. One kid is almost finishing high school, so it's time to fall in love.
Right.
And I like that. And I also took it as a challenge. Okay, so if I fall in love with this woman and go and start a life with her, I'm going to have to be a dad to some degree. Not really somebody's dad take over, but somebody in authority, in a male figure of the household.
And he was, and because the biological dad was not on the scene. He was not on the scene at that time, which is why he was acting out. I'm sure that was, you know, definitely why he was acting out.
Or it's just being a teenager.
That's part of it too.
Smart,
as well.
Smart, good looking. So when you're smart, good looking, which I was when I was in high school, I got away with a lot of stuff.
But he implemented, you know, and I just, give you so much credit for that. Not having ever raised children of your own. He came in and he displayed tough love. We won't go into the details right now, but tough love, but nurturing and discipline and habits, you know, whether it was, you know, at the piano or sports and, you know, ethics and just a lot of things that I know now, because, you know, my son ended up, you know, graduating with honors in high school. And of course, now he's just, you know, he's a wonderful father.
Yeah. Like I said, I knew he was a good egg. He just was through his teenage years. But, you know, I didn't come into this cold. I was a musician and a guitar teacher. So I was around kids a lot for many years.
Yeah.
And then when I was a bachelor in Los Angeles, I coached 10-year-olds and 14-year-olds in basketball. So I had experience dealing with different dynamics, just not on an everyday basis that I have to give money to so they can have lunch. I knew that day was changed when I fell in love, and I realized, okay, here's my last $20 in my wallet, and I'm handing it to some kid. So, you know, that's all how life plays out, because you got to be selfless. That's number one key factor to successful relationship, is how to determine how to not be judging and become selfless and be part of. That's key.
Yep.
So, let me ask you this other question that is also in the book, which is the complete opposite. Now you got somebody that you're really engaging in and you're really excited about, and all of a sudden they start to get, you know, quiet. You start to get, you know, far apart responses to lack of responses and ghosting. How would you deal with that if you already have some what you felt connection and yet it disappears? Do you chop that up as just, oh, well, disappointment, or do you pursue it?
Well, for me, and you didn't give me time to research in the book, so I don't know what I put in the book. To be honest with you.
You don't say that.
Oh, I don't. Do you want to stop right here?
Just keep talking. Just
Okay.
keep talking. Don't ever say that. The key thing is, whenever you lack, I would say, people when they lack a response and so forth, it's not about you. It's not about anything that you could be in control of. Don't ever think that, okay, because of me, is this something I've done? This is the same scenario syndrome that I would say that we have as children. Would you say that,
What's that?
if mom and dad is in a fight and also mommy and daddy is not in a happy situation, so it must be my fault,
Oh, right.
right? So that to me is the key. And it's if somebody decided that they're not wanting to participate, it's not about you. It's not about you at all.
It absolutely is not. That's a great point that you bring up, Jeff. And I think I've heard stories, and I just would encourage you, if you, male or female, if you feel like you've been ghosted, first off, give them the benefit of stuff happens. Don't lash out with something nasty. They could have had an emergency or had to fly out of town, or, there's just a ton of things that
That's right.
could have happened. But at the same point, don't be needy. Don't, well, what happened? Oh my gosh, I thought we had, let it
That's
lie.
right.
Let it lie. And no, it's not you. It's either mitigating circumstances, or it's God telling you it's not them.
Yes,
It's not them.
that's right. And it's okay. It's okay. It's better that than get married 3 years
Yes.
later, you're facing a divorce.
It could be divine protection for you. Okay. So if someone is into you, if the energy is right, if it's meant to go forward, it will go forward in divine timing.
Yep.
And again, you just have to look at it as divine protection for you.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's go to our segment. You have your letter or email ready? We get audiences to have submit questions they may have. If you have any questions regards to relationship online, dating online, marriage, or just relationship in general, feel free to leave a comment for us, and we will do our research, and we will include it into a future podcast, and hopefully we can answer your questions and help you out. One of the key factors, always remember, to be in a successful relationship comes from your intention. So if you think it's wrong or something's not going right, you are projecting that. So don't look for the problem, look for solutions.
Yep. Be positive.
Yep.
Look for the solution.
So what do we have here, Kat?
Okay. So this is a reader that wrote in a great story, and I'm going to read it to you right now.
Okay.
Dear Kat, just finished Miracles Online for the second time, and I had to write in to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. When I first downloaded the book, I was feeling skeptical. Okay, maybe a little jaded. I'd been on 3 different dating apps. You might relate to that, and was beginning to believe meaningful conversations were extinct in the digital world.
Yeah.
Every exchange felt so surface, so level, until I read your chapter on intentional engagement and the magic of asking the right questions. Something shifted in me after that. Instead of starting with the usual, hey, how's your day? I took a page from your book and led with one of your conversation starters that you suggested. What's something that recently made you feel grateful? I'll never forget the moment he replied. He shared a story about his niece beating cancer. We talked for nearly 2 hours that night, not about movies or weekend plans, but about faith, about family, resilience, and how life has a funny way of reminding us what really matters.
Yeah.
From there, it just kept unfolding beautifully. Our second conversation started with another gem from your book. What does a fulfilling relationship look like to you?
Right.
It opened up an honest, vulnerable discussion that neither of us had ever had so early with anyone. We realized we were aligned in ways that felt like, well, like a miracle. Now we're planning to meet in person for the first time next month. So they haven't met in person yet. And instead of feeling anxious or unsure, I feel grounded because the connection is built on something real.
Yes.
Thank you, Kat, for reminding me that depth is possible, even in digital spaces. Your book didn't just change how I dated, it changed how I showed up with curiosity, presence, and heart. With deep gratitude, Emily R. Thank you so much, Emily R. And I hope you'll follow up and let us know how the in-person date went. But it sounds like you are on the road to possibly your miracle.
Yeah.
So thank you again for writing in.
Yeah, beautiful. And the same thing I felt too when I was going to my first day with her on the drive. It was over an hour drive, and I was so excited. And I told her when I first see her, I'm going to kiss her. I said it right out before I even saw her. And then, of course, when I pulled up, I was in a Jeep and she was in a Jeep. I was blown.
All the conversations, hours of conversations.
We never talked.
We
about
never
it.
talked about what we drove.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
And yet we both pulled up in Jeeps.
In Jeeps.
You know, rag top Jeeps on top
Yep,
of that.
yep.
Both of us were vroom, vroom.
And
It was
black.
like,
And they were both black.
no, mine was dark blue.
Oh, that's
So,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
But it was so just, oh, wow moment for me. And then, of course, I came out. She looked at me. I looked at her. Immediately, I walked up to her and grabbed her and kissed her. Of course, she was like, oh, how dare you?
I did not. I was ready for that kiss.
Okay. So was I. And then, of course, we're here. Let's wrap this up. This episode, let's go ahead and close with your wonderful butterfly effect.
A divine perspective.
Always.
Okay. And this one I have printed out. Okay. So you may have heard of the butterfly effect. This is a divine perspective regarding the butterfly effect. They say a butterfly flapping its wings can shift the weather across the world. But what if that flutter is divine design? In the realm of love and miracles, a quiet decision, a yes to your own worth, a moment of vulnerability, or a single swipe filled with intention can send ripples through time and space. You may not see the storm it prevents, the heart it awakens, or the healing it initiates, but trust this. The universe takes notice of small, sacred movements. Love is not random. It's orchestrated by threads we can't always see. So the next time your heart nudges you forward, remember what feels small may be the beginning of something miraculous. Maybe the beginning of your miracle online.
Yeah. God bless everyone. We hope to see you. Don't forget, like and subscribe. If you want to get our books, it's at Yayu Publishing, YAYUpublishing.com. And with that, come back and see us again with love. Until next time.
Bye.